This page is the cover of SEGA Saturn magazine. It's shouting about the big New Year special and double appendix included. The main headline screams, "Battle About Fighter 2, which looks like a fighting game feature, maybe related to Virtua Fighter. There are also special features spotlighting a gigantic discussion, sounds like a big topic, and a guide for Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner. Looking at the smaller text, we can see mentions of other new SEGA Saturn software like Guardian Heroes, Air's Adventure, Dragon Force, Challenging SEGA Saturn, The Tower, and Godzilla Retu Shinkan. It also mentions a Sega and software licensee direct handbook, which apparently contains profiles of all 46 Saturn software makers, and gives a quick look at the upcoming games for the end of the year and New Year period. The date on the magazine is January 12th and 26th, 1996, Volume .1. Overall, this cover is packed with info, hyping up the New Year content and highlighting the big games and features inside. This page is all about Virtua Fighter 2 on the SEGA Saturn, boasting that it's going to explode on SEGA Saturn. It highlights that it's based on the arcade version and promises the ultimate fighting action experience. The page shows several in-game screenshots demonstrating the fast-paced gameplay and graphics. It mentions a new team battle mode and emphasizes that all the moves from the arcade are possible on the Saturn version at a smooth 60 frames per second. Apparently, even the CPU AI has been improved to learn expert techniques. The page also mentions a new release price of 6,800 yen for the standard edition and 4,800 yen for the SEGA Saturn Virtua Stick controller, encouraging players to get the full arcade experience at home. Finally, it notes that the Virtua Fighter TV anime is being broadcast every Monday on TV Tokyo, further boosting the franchise's popularity. This page is dedicated to Virtua Cop on the SEGA Saturn, billing it as the world's first true 3D gun shooting game. It's all about bringing the arcade experience home, and the advert emphasizes the immersive gameplay, highlighting features like a training mode to hone your shooting skills, and the option for two-player versus play. The screenshots show the game's 3D environments in action, praising the texture mapping for beautiful visuals. They're pushing the Virtua Cop gun controller, calling its black body design the real deal, and offering bundle deals. You can get the game and gun set for 7,800 yen, the game alone for 5,800 yen, or just the gun separately for 2,900 yen. There's also a 5,000 yen cashback campaign for the SEGA Saturn being advertised, valid from November 15th, Year 7 of the Heisei era, to January 15th, Year 8. This is clearly timed for the game's launch to boost SEGA Saturn sales alongside the exciting new release of Virtua Cop. This page shines the spotlight on J.League Pro Soccer Club Create, a SEGA Saturn game where you take charge of your own J.League team. It's billed as the ultimate in intellectual soccer, emphasizing the strategic and management aspects. The page highlights that you can choose a franchise from 564 locations across Japan and aim to conquer the J.League as a club representative. You can develop your team and even compete against teams raised by your friends, as well as real J.League clubs. The logos for Power Gym and Clubhouse suggest these are key elements within the game, possibly representing training and club management facilities. Below these are lists of J.League teams included, such as Antlers, Jeff United, Verdi, Marinos, Flugels, Grampus, Gamba, Racall, Red Diamonds, Belmare, Spulse, Jubilo, Sanfrecce, and Cerezo. The game is described as a training simulation and was scheduled for release on February 23rd for 5,800 yen. Screenshots at the bottom show glimpses of the game's interface, including what looks like office and stadium views, hinting at the depth of club management simulation offered. This page is dedicated to the SEGA Saturn release of Fist of the North Star, Intense Blow, Two Fists of the Supreme King. This fighting adventure game is advertised as having exploded onto the SEGA Saturn. The page showcases key characters from the series, including Kenshiro right in the center, alongside other familiar faces. It highlights a new storyline in story mode, where a mysterious group calling themselves Dark Hokuto emerges as enemies. The game emphasizes powerful special moves to quickly decide battles. It's mentioned as being already on sale for 5,800 yen on Crydrom, suggesting it's a new release at the time of publication and available for purchase. The page uses strong imagery and action-oriented text to promote the game's excitement and fighting gameplay. This page is showcasing the SEGA Saturn game Highway 2000, Originally known in Japan as Wangen Dead Heat, it's being advertised as a polygon racing game with smooth 30 frames per second animation. The page emphasizes the two-player versus mode, where you can get heated in competition. It boasts 20 realistic coastal highway courses where you can drift. The game features 3 different camera viewpoints to enhance the intensity. All 20 high-speed coastal courses are available, including day, night, and mirror versions across 5 courses each. There's also a scenario mode where you can drive with beautiful women. The page shows images of 3 women named Yu Kinoshita and Rika Mizutani, suggesting they are part of this scenario mode. The game is set to be released on December 15th and is compatible with the 3-Draphonic racing controller.
The price is listed as 6,800 yen.
This page is an advertisement for the Victor V Saturn console and its Twin Operator add-on. The big news is the Twin Operator, which finally lets your V Saturn play both video crids and photo crids. It highlights features like playback control for video crids, including things like flash playback, slow motion, and strobe effects. For photo crids, it talks about portfolio playback, syncing music and narration with your photos, and options to rotate or resize images, even creating slideshows. They are really pushing the multimedia capabilities here.
The advert also mentions a massive library of 1040 video CD software titles already available. You can see the prices too. The Twin Operator RGVC2 is priced at 21,000 yen, and a separate video CD decoder RGVC1 is a bit cheaper at 19,800 yen. It briefly touches on the V Saturn being a next-generation virtual game machine, with powerful specs like dual 32-bit RISC CPUs, capable of displaying millions of colors and boasting PCM 32-channel sound. It's all about emphasizing the V Saturn as a high-performance and versatile system. This page is showcasing some exciting SEGA Saturn software from Victor. At the top, we have an advert for a fishing game, boldly proclaiming, "Exhilarating fishing!" It really grabs your attention, with a massive fish leaping out of the water to snatch a lure, set against a beautiful ocean backdrop. Moving to the bottom left, there's an advert for Victor's own Saturn software release, King of Boxing. They are really pushing this game as a massive hit and at peak popularity. It's highlighted as Polygon 3D boxing, which was a big deal back then, promising cutting-edge graphics. You can even see the box art and the price listed at 5,800 yen. Interestingly, the copyright also mentions Electronic Arts, suggesting they might have had a hand in its development, or perhaps it's based on one of their older boxing titles. Finally, on the bottom right, there's a section that's a bit of a curveball. It features the Statue of Liberty and asks in big letters, "Everyone, do you want to go to New York?" It's a bit random, and we're not quite sure if this is a travel promotion or just some kind of general question to engage the readers, perhaps suggesting that Victor's Saturn software could transport you to exciting places, maybe even virtually to New York, although that's just a guess. This page continues with more exciting software from Victor. Leading off is Sea Bass Fishing, a proper sea fishing simulator, as the title says. It looks like a very detailed fishing game, showing off various lures and promising realistic gameplay with 3D polygon fish. It even features guidance from real fishing expert Masami Murakoshi. This one was slated for release in late February of '96 and priced at 6,800 yen. Moving down to the bottom left, we have an advert for Transamerica Ultra Quiz. This is based on a wildly popular TV quiz show, promising to recreate the show's challenges like Hole in the Dome and Mud of Guam, right on your Saturn. It's designed for up to 4 players and boasts a massive 10,000 questions, along with voiceovers by the show's actual announcer for that authentic TV experience, priced at 5,800 yen. Finally, on the bottom right, we have Metal Fighter Miku.
This is described as near-future beautiful girl pro wrestling. It seems to be a wrestling game focusing on female wrestlers in a neo-pro wrestling style within a new organization called Miku. It mentions a Lion's Hole tournament and a White Book women's tournament, and even throws in some wrestler nicknames like Mimikaki and Nichan Champion. This one is priced at 6,800 yen.
This page seems to be introducing a game where the story is so unpredictable that even the developers are unsure how it will unfold. The page features a blurry image, almost like a face emerging from darkness or flames, overlaid with lots of red text keywords. The red text terms, scattered around the image, give a sense of the game's elements. There are locations like cliffs, darkness, underground, batroom,
cellar, forest path, and living room, suggesting a focus on exploration and varied environments. Items and objects are also listed, such as broken lantern, key, trapdoor, coins, push red button, scarab emerald, diamond screwdriver, and figurine switch, hinting at puzzle solving and item interaction. The phrases and words like danger, amazing territory, you are behind the White House, and there is no door create an atmosphere of mystery and perhaps a slightly unsettling experience. Overall, the page sets a tone of intrigue, suggesting a game that is driven by exploration and player choices, where the narrative is emergent and unpredictable, even for the creators themselves. This page introduces Zork I, described as a new generation text adventure game. It emphasizes how players weave the story, like painting on a blank canvas, with freedom of expression and unpredictable outcomes, even for the developers. This Zork series hails back to the 80s computer era as a pioneer of text adventure games. The game focuses on the player interacting with the computer through words, understanding context to progress the story and solve mysteries, all with high operational freedom. This version of Zork is presented as a revival, deepened and made more real, expanding on the original Volume 1 to become the definitive new generation text adventure. The page highlights its interactive scenario system, where the story dynamically responds to player input. It also boasts enhanced presentation, adding image graphics as backgrounds, and incorporating sound effects for a more immersive experience, utilizing Roland Soundspace for realistic environmental sounds. The background music is emphasized as top-tier game music, composed by the renowned duo Yuzo Koshiro and Motohiro Kawashima. The game was slated for release on March 15, 1996, for both PlayStation and SEGA Saturn, priced at 5,800 yen. The bottom right shows logos for Activision and Shueisha, the publishers. A small screenshot shows in-game text, typical of the text adventure genre. This page showcases 3 upcoming SEGA Saturn titles. First up is Chaos Control, advertised as a thrilling 3D shooting game. The screenshot shows a futuristic aircraft battling over a city with a Statue of Liberty-like structure in the background. Next to it is Blackfire, also touted as a 3D shooting experience. The image for this one features a different kind of fighter jet soaring over a mountainous landscape, firing weapons. Both Chaos Control and Blackfire are slated for release in December 95 and priced at 5,800 yen. Below these two, we have Gen War, described as a real robot simulation game. The screenshot features a blue and gold mecha. Gen War is scheduled for release in January 96 and also priced at 5,800 yen. The bottom right corner includes the Virgin Interactive Entertainment logo, indicating they are the publisher. This page is essentially a spread, highlighting these 3 new games coming soon to the SEGA Saturn. The next page spotlights Gotha 2, Knights of the Sky from Koei. This game is being touted as a massive leap forward from the original Gotha, promising grand graphics and a truly epic story in a new generation of simulation gaming. The game's narrative is set in a world devastated by colossal wars and floating continents. Humanity is struggling to survive, and amidst the ruins, mysterious, godlike machines emerge. The story seems to be driven by the choices of the player, who is described as a commentator or even a sovereign ruler, shaping the fate of this world. The page emphasizes new gameplay systems that break away from traditional strategy RPGs. It highlights features like a free map system that allows units to move freely, deep strategic gameplay with weapon changes affecting units, unit organization, and a dynamic action experience system where unit growth and combat style evolve based on player choices. It's also boasting full multi-scenario and multi-ending gameplay, where the drama and conclusion are determined by the player. The voice cast is listed, featuring names like Kanemaru Junichi, Oyaki Akio, Inoue Kazuhiko, and others, suggesting a strong focus on character voice acting. The game is scheduled for release in March for the SEGA Saturn, although the price is still to be determined at the time of this magazine page. This page showcases a grand naval strategy simulation game, advertised with the tagline, Kicking the Waves, Fierce Fleet. It's presented as a highly anticipated release of a popular PC war simulation strategy game, finally making its debut on the SEGA Saturn. The ad emphasizes enhanced scale and system, aiming to provide an immersive experience through realistic visuals, historical scenarios, and smooth gameplay, highlighting the Saturn's capabilities. It seems to promise a deep and engaging challenge. Below the main game image, We see advertisements for other Koei titles under the banner Koei Hot Topics lineup. These include Nobunaga's Ambition, Record of Tenkasuze, promoted as the definitive historical simulation strategy game with enhanced realism using actual footage. Next is Winning, Post X, described as reaching the peak of horse racing simulation, promising to maximize the joy of horse ownership. Finally, there's Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, advertised as offering the ultimate taste of Chinese unification strategy. Each game ad includes a price and mentions they are strategy simulation games. Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV is specifically noted as being for Super 32X as well, with the same price. The bottom section provides standard retail information about purchasing via mail order, including a phone number and accepted credit cards like Visa, MasterCard, and JCB. It also mentions conditions for returns and a special offer for a Koei phone card for purchases over 2,000 yen. This page showcases PTO2, Pacific Theater of Operations 2, a WW2 simulation game. It's advertised as WW2 game with the Japanese title 2 and a price of 10,800 yen. The image depicts a dramatic air battle scene with warplanes and a battleship under attack, along with portraits of 3 military officers, likely key figures in the game. Below the main game ad is another promotion for an English Dream series called Emit. This is a value set described as a 3-volume set. To enjoy the world of talking English software, it lists 3 volumes. Volume 1, Toki no Mayoigo, Lost Child of Time. Volume 2, Inochi Kagiri no Tabi, A Journey to the End of Life. And Volume 3, Watashi ni Sayonara wo, Say Goodbye to Me. No. The set is priced at 15,800 yen, and each volume individually is 8,800 yen. It seems to be an educational software package focused on learning English. At the bottom, it mentions Super 32X compatibility, possibly for PTO2 or another game, and provides contact information for Koei Corporation and an address in Yokohama with a phone number. This page presents 2 game advertisements. First up is Theme Park, a game where, instead of just visiting an amusement park, you get to build and manage your very own. The ad emphasizes creating any park you desire, from thrilling roller coaster havens to relaxing themed areas, all with the goal of becoming the ultimate amusement park tycoon. A screenshot gives a peek at the colorful and cartoon-like graphics. Below Theme Park is Senryaku Shogi, a strategy-focused shogi game, which is Japanese chess. This game boasts selectable computer AI strategies, allowing players to delve deep into strategic research and save their game records. It's presented as a genuine shogi experience, complete with polygon graphics for the pieces and board. Both Theme Park and Senryaku Shogi are for the SEGA Saturn and share the same price of 5,800 yen. This page is an advertisement for Hisatsu Pachinko Collection on SEGA Saturn, a compilation of 6 popular pachinko machines from Daiichi Shokai and Fuji Shokai. The ad highlights bringing the authentic pachinko hall experience to your home with realistic graphics and sound. It mentions that the collection is packed with various modes and even supports Nifty Serve online events. The 6 pachinko machines included are Dance Dance 2, CR Big Slaughter 2, A Lesson, Excite, Sunrise, and Arisen Man. The Hisatsu Pachinko Station is also mentioned as a PlayStation version, and Hisatsu Pachinko Collection 3 is referenced as a Super Famicom version, both already on sale. The Saturn version is slated for release in January 96 at a price of 6,800 yen. The ad emphasizes that winning in the game feels just like the real thing, promising an authentic pachinko experience. This page introduces Assault Suit Lanos 2, described as a groundbreaking new type of 3D shooting battle game. The reviewer is impressed by the game's visual immersion and the sense of freedom within its 3D space, suggesting it's pushing boundaries and representing the next generation of game design. The page highlights several key features. It boasts speedy screen scrolling, emphasizing the fast-paced action and smooth scrolling, even during intense gameplay situations like forward movement, back movement, parallel movement, and dashing. It also mentions 30 frames per second ecstasy, pointing to the game running at a smooth 30 FPS. Another section talks about gallery mode, deep and diverse viewpoints, suggesting various camera angles, including viewpoints from behind your own mech and from the enemy's perspective, offering a range of perspectives to appreciate the action. There's a mention of command input type powerful Kana support demo, indicating the game uses command inputs for weapons, possibly with a tutorial or support system using Kana. Finally, it mentions 8 bodies plus alpha/characters, suggesting a roster of at least 8 playable mechs or characters to choose from, each with unique battle styles. The page gives the impression of a fast-paced, visually impressive 3D action game, with depth in its gameplay mechanics and character roster. This page is dedicated to G-Bockers, a Hyper 3D battle game for the SEGA Saturn, highlighting its versus play mode, which needs the Saturn Link cable for 2-player battles. The page emphasizes the full-screen versus battles made possible with the cable, contrasting it with split-screen play. G-Bockers is described as a new sensory action shooting game with command input style controls across 8 diverse 3D fields. It seems to have a roster of characters, each with different weapon types and specialities, judging by the character profiles provided. These include Kid, who uses a practical weapon system and excels at medium-range combat; Caddy, specializing in air-based attacks; Pal, proficient in speed attacks; Dantin, focused on power; Ray, using electrical attacks; Fisher, strong in close-quarters combat; Mugen, good at mid-range combat using mine-based attacks; and Ein, who uses missile attacks and is effective at long range. The game was set to release on February 23, 1996, priced at 5,800 yen, with a special launch edition, including the Taisen cable, for versus play. Riverhill Soft discusses the design of their 3D battle game, G-Bockers, inspired by games like Virtua Fighter. They aim to break from 2D limitations, prioritizing immersive, tense gameplay and a unique visual style using polygonal graphics on the Saturn. The team emphasized detailed rendering, curved lines, and distinctive character designs, including quirky mecha characters. The development process included extensive testing and player feedback, aiming for fun gameplay despite mixed initial reactions. A pre-order campaign ran from December 25, 1995 to February 18, 1996, offering a super psychedelic trance cloth and Gebo-chan keyring. The team hinted at a February 25th release or event and announced a contest to win Fukuoka Dome goods and Gebo-chan keyrings. This page shows a rather humorous advert for the game G-Bockers. It depicts someone completely wrapped in bandages, like a mummy, seemingly in a hospital bed, but still intensely playing video games. There are 2 screens shown, one displaying won and the other lost, both featuring in-game action from G-Bockers. Each screen has a flashing red siren on top, emphasizing the game's intense and possibly addictive nature. The main text at the top right in Japanese translates to something like, "Play forever. That's what it's like." This reinforces the idea of being completely absorbed by the game to the point of obsession, even when you are supposedly unwell. Below, in a red box, it highlights the ongoing pre-order campaign mentioned on the previous page, reminding readers about the super psychedelic trance cloth underwear and Gebo-chan keyring gifts available for pre-ordering G-Bockers. There's a visual of the underwear too, showing both the front and back designs. The advert uses a funny and slightly absurd visual to get across the message of how engrossing G-Bockers is, suggesting you might become so addicted you'll neglect everything else, even ending up in hospital, but still wanting to play. This page has a very stark and striking visual style, using skulls and what looks like splashes of blood to advertise a game. The central text in brushstroke style is the title itself, and below it mentions a full 3D adventure game called Horror Tour, which is hitting the SEGA Saturn. It describes it as a world of mystery and fantasy that will take your breath away, and highlights that it was originally a popular PC game before coming to the Saturn. The advert states it's scheduled for release in March '96, with a retail price of 5,800 yen. It's a pretty intense and dramatic way to present a game, especially compared to the more lighthearted advert for G-Bockers we just saw. The use of skulls and blood definitely points to a horror theme, making it quite different in tone. This page is a vibrant advert for the SEGA Saturn game Gururin Dodongo, or 3 in Japanese. It's scheduled for release in January 1996, with a suggested price of 5,800 yen. The ad emphasizes that it's a super chain stretch puzzle drop game coming to the Saturn. Visually, it's packed with quirky, colorful characters and dice, giving off a really fun and lighthearted vibe. A complete turnaround from that spooky horror tour ad we just saw. It looks like a fast-paced puzzle game, focused on creating big chains and combos. Perfect for competitive play, as it mentions a contest champ mode. The text on the right hypes up how addictive and fun it is,
talking about the thrill of chain reactions and challenging opponents.
Tecmo, the developers, have even included their hotline phone number for players to get the latest info. Judging by the screenshots, it's a colorful dice-based puzzle game with a strong focus on versus play. This page is an advertisement announcing the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, Can Can Bunny premiere. The large red text declares, "Love is not a game." It's described as a sparkling anime adventure game, and boasts Can Can Bunny as a well-known title, now making its SEGA Saturn debut in full color. The text highlights a brand new scenario, promising exciting endings where players can laugh, cry, and be moved by the subtle emotions of the girls. It seems to be an adventure game, focused on relationships with girls, emphasizing emotional depth. We can see screenshots that suggest dating sim or visual novel gameplay, with anime-style characters in various scenes. The bottom oval graphic clearly states the game title, Can Can Bunny premiere, for the SEGA Saturn. It is scheduled for release in March 1996 and priced at 5,800 yen.
It also notes that it supports the shuttle mouse.
The advert mentions 32,000 colors are possible on the SEGA Saturn, highlighting the graphical capabilities. The developer is listed as Kindle Imagine Develop, and the publisher is Cactel Soft. Finally, there's a note indicating that due to the mature content, it is for players aged 18 and over.
This page is an advertisement for the Sega Arcade Selection Dram Remix CD. It's promoting a collection of remixed Sega arcade game music. The page highlights that this CD features best remixes of Sega arcade music. We can see characters from games like Sonic the Hedgehog series, including Sonic, Ray, and Mighty, as well as screenshots from Outrun and Space Harrier. The CD includes remix tracks from various classic Sega arcade games, some of which are listed as Outrun with Splash Wave and Like the Wind, Power Drift, Super Hangin', Outrunners, Sonic the Hedgehog, Quartet, Fantasy Zone with Dreaming Tomorrow, SDI with System Down, Alien Storm with Killer Mix, Space Harrier, Galaxy Force with Beyond the Galaxy, and a track titled Megaboss from an unclear game. The advertisement mentions that this album features 10 carefully selected songs from Sega's popular arcade games, all reimagined with arrangements, aiming for a fresh and exciting sound experience, not just simple upgrades. It's stated that these remixes, arranged by Dram, are intended to be enjoyable for both original fans of the games and general music lovers. The CD booklet is said to include a special talk with Sega sound staff, Azuma and Dram. The CD was released on December 1st, 1995, and is priced at 2,500 yen.
This page is a full-page advertisement for the upcoming game Death Mask, which is being touted as a Hind theater experience and a full-fledged movie adventure game. It's launching on January 26, 1996, and is hitting both Sega Saturn and PlayStation. The Saturn version, Director's Cut, will set you back 8,800 yen, and the PlayStation version is priced at 7,800 yen. They're running a cool Go to Hollywood quiz campaign from January 3rd to March 15th, 1996, with some awesome prizes. First prize, the A prize, is a dream trip to Hollywood for 10 lucky winners, including a visit to E3 and a Hollywood tour. The B prize is an NTT Personal PHS Paldio 102HJ's phone, being given away to 100 people. And the D-Estic prize is a free course at Vantan Digital Art Studio, also for 10 people. The advertisement itself looks pretty stylish, using a film strip design to showcase screenshots of Death Mask. This page showcases the SS Joypad DX, a Sega Saturn dedicated controller. It boasts features like individual button continuous fire settings, 2 types of continuous fire speeds, and a slow motion function. It also highlights a unique, user-friendly design. The controller seems to be marketed for different game genres, presenting 2 modes, fighting mode and jogging mode. Fighting mode is designed to simplify special moves in fighting games, letting you unleash techniques easily to defeat rivals. Jogging mode is tailored for RPGs and action games, allowing for nuanced character control for actions like picking up items, navigating hidden rooms, and jumping over blocks. The page also mentions a planned release date in mid-December. This page is an advertisement for Yoyogi Animation Academy, a school focused on animation and creative fields. It highlights a very high 97.74% success rate for graduates finding employment or debuting in the industry. The ad features Takeo Aki, a special invited professor, emphasizing the school's professional approach. They offer a wide range of 1- and 2-year courses, including subjects like multimedia creation, CG anime and game design, SFX, illustration, novel writing, animation, manga and comic creation, finishing art, background art, anime and AV operation, and voice acting. The Academy promotes benefits like free health and career consultations, affordable on-campus dormitories, and free trial lessons and information sessions. They are holding information sessions across various locations and dates, encouraging prospective students to attend. They also mention free auditions nationwide to discover new voice acting and other talents. This page showcases perfect guides for 2 SEGA Saturn hits, Virtua Fighter 2 and Guardian Heroes. For Virtua Fighter 2, the guide promises detailed character move explanations and battle strategies. It also covers tips for CPU battles and ranking modes, dual character usage, and mentions featuring content previously published in SEGA Saturn Magazine. It's advertised as a perfect guide to explore the depths of Virtua Fighter 2.
This guidebook is slated for release in January 1996.
The page shows screenshots from Virtua Fighter 2 battles. Moving on to Guardian Heroes, this guide also claims to be a perfect companion, detailing 45 character techniques, a thorough walkthrough of the story mode, and even unveiling secret elements. It positions itself as essential for fully enjoying Guardian Heroes. This guidebook is set to launch in February 1996. Screenshots from Guardian Heroes display action-packed gameplay scenes.
Both guides are presented by SEGA Saturn Magazine editorial department.
This page is an advertisement for the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, Tenshi Muyo
Mihomikoto Onsen Yuke Muri no Tabi, which translates to Tenshi Muyo Mihomikoto Hot Springs.
Journey of Steam and Smoke. It's touted as the second game in the Saturn series, an adventure and simulation game arriving in late January 1996. The advert emphasizes its high production values, boasting over 2,500 animation frames and a completely original story with 15 branching paths. Fans can expect familiar voices, as the voice acting is provided by the same cast as the Tenshi Muyo TV anime. They are also highlighting the beautiful character designs and some kind of hidden or unexpected endings. There's a buy, send, and win campaign for purchasers, offering prizes like Teleka and ballpoint pens, B1 posters, and postcards for those who send in survey cards included with the game. Additionally, a W campaign is mentioned with a Credrom prize. Umedia, the publisher, is also recruiting development staff, seeking programmers, graphic designers, sound engineers, and planners, ideally with over 2 years of industry experience. Lastly, there's a promotion for the Umedia Club newsletter, highlighting their Loser Brothers project, inviting readers to subscribe. This page is an advertisement for Kogal Mahjong Paradise Gokuraku Hen, also known as Kogal After School Edition. It's coming to SEGA Saturn, and looks like a mahjong game with a focus on interacting with kogals, which was a trendy schoolgirl fashion style back then in Japan. The advert is really playing up the hot relationship angle, suggesting you can have secret dates with these cute girls in your room after school if you win at mahjong. It's pretty bold about using live-action photos of girls alongside anime-style art for the characters, emphasizing the realism of the photos. They're promising a limited first edition with a large poster and even voice messages, calling it a love letter from the characters, especially mentioning Ryoko Asamiya. The game is set to release on January 12, 1996, at a price of 8,800 yen. Micronet is the publisher, and it looks like they're targeting a very specific audience with this one. This page is the contents page for SEGA Saturn Magazine Volume 1, dated January 12 to 26, 1996. It's headlined by a big feature called All About Virtua Fighter 2, the promising strategy guides for the game, particularly for player versus player battles, special options, and even how to use Gold Dural. There's a special report section which is highlighting a bunch of games, including Sega Rally Championship, Panzer Dragoon Zwei, Street Fighter Alpha, Darkstalkers, Night Warriors, Earthworm Jim 2, and A64 Apache, known as Thunderhawk 2. Then there's an AM2 Research Express Neo New Year Special Project on page 176, which is a luxurious interview about Sega Sonic, featuring a discussion between Yu Suzuki, Yuji Naka, and Naoto Oshima. Finally, it mentions a special double supplement that comes with the magazine, a strategy guidebook for Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner, and a direct handbook for Sega and software licensees. This page provides a comprehensive overview of Sega Saturn software, featuring 3 key sections. New release title. Spotlights recent game releases like Victory Goal 96 and Ninku Raging Battle, encompassing various genres. Coming soon soft, previews upcoming titles, ranging from Guardian Heroes and Dragon Force to more obscure titles like Godzilla Archipelago Shock and Return to Zork, indicating a diverse future library. The SEGA Saturn Soft Complete Guide offers strategies for released games such as Clockwork Knight 2 and Virtual Cop. A detailed game index on the right provides page numbers for a vast catalog of Sega Saturn games, suggesting the magazine aims to be a comprehensive resource for Sega Saturn enthusiasts. This page is all about Pro Mahjong Kiwami for the Sega Saturn, a game that promises to let you master professional mahjong techniques. It's endorsed by major Japanese professional mahjong leagues, emphasizing its authenticity for serious players. The ad highlights features like honing your skills with Kiwamizis and experiencing realistic, immersive gameplay with great graphics and sound, just like a real mahjong match. They're boasting 4 different game modes to choose from, including free matches, analysis modes to improve your play, challenge modes, and even quiz modes to test your knowledge. A price is listed at 5,800 yen, and it was scheduled for release in January 1996. There's also a mention of a Kiwami Cup Mahjong tournament invitation for those who achieve national domination in the game, adding an extra layer of competition and incentive. This page is a feature titled, Together with You and Saturn, starring Japanese artist Ria Matsuda. She shares her thoughts on gaming, saying she thinks it's cool when someone is engrossed in playing games. Yuria admits she's not very tech-savvy, mentioning she struggles with computers, and once had to call an electrician because she couldn't set up her Famicom. However, she admires people who are skilled with computers and good at games, finding it amazing. She expresses that she finds it cool and attractive when men, even in their 30s, get intensely focused on button mashing while playing games, regardless of how others see them. The page also mentions her album, I Want You, and includes its cover art. Finally, there's contact information for Sega Saturn Magazine at SoftBank. Eiffel Home is launching a virtual home tour software for the Sega Saturn, allowing potential homebuyers to experience model homes, view floor plans, and watch CM videos, all from CD-ROMs. Future updates will add financial planning and online networking features. This announcement coincides with the Sega Saturn achieving a milestone of 2 million units shipped, fueled by strong software sales, particularly Virtua Fighter 2, which sold 700,000 copies in 3 days. Sega aims for 5 million units by the end of 1996. Additionally, Sega is hosting a creative talent contest using SimCity 2000, Theme Park, and The Tower. Players can submit their creative designs within these simulation games, with prizes including trips to New York and Orlando, and high-end cameras. The deadline for submissions is January 26th. This page highlights a range of new releases and gift promotions. First up, there's an announcement for a 96 New Year's cosplay event called Super Pie 2, taking place in Tokyo and featuring a dance party, talk show, and more. Next, there's a giveaway for 100 people to win a Hiroko Matsuda's World Fishing Telecard, celebrating the release of the fishing game. An original picture collection photo CD for Graduation 2 is announced, packed with character art and voice data, offering visual scenes and costumes from the game. Several music creds are promoted, including Creamy Too Creamy, Forbidden Raw Egg by Okamura Takahiro, Brand New Tomorrow by TRF, Magic Knight Rayearth, Original Songbook 2, Quo Vadis Drama CD Volume 1, and Tokimeki Memorial Vocal Best Collection, featuring various artists and songs related to these games and series. For game releases, The Treasure Sword of Legend, Kiki Kai Kai, is advertised as a shooting game with cute characters and a love song theme. Samurai Spirits New Chapter Unfettered Sword soundtrack CD is also promoted, featuring new characters and a Japanese style. Lastly, Japan Victor is running a New Year's gift campaign, giving away AVE selectors and cordless headphones to lucky winners. The cordless headphones HPW250 and AV selector JX3 are showcased with details about their features and prices if you wanted to purchase them separately. The latest sales charts reveal the top games for the Sega Saturn and popular arcade titles.
Virtua Fighter 2 leads the Saturn charts with impressive sales. Virtua Cop, X-Men, and Guardian Heroes follow, each praised for specific gameplay elements. Other top Saturn games include F1 Live Information, Puyo Puyo 2, Dragon Ball Z, King of Fighters 95, Super Real Mahjong Graffiti, and Virtua Fighter CG Portrait Series Baichin. The arcade charts are topped by Iron Soldier 2 Ver B. A new motorbike racing game, Sega Manx TT, is anticipated to be a hit. The arcade list reiterates the top 5 games, including their manufacturers, Sega, Namco, Capcom, and SNK.
This page lists 2 Sega Saturn top charts. The first is the User Data Top 20, which shows the games fans most want to see ported to the Sega Saturn. Tekken series tops this chart, followed by Samurai Showdown and Final Fantasy series. Virtua Striker, Dragon Quest, Ridge Racer, and Indorty 500 are also highly desired ports. The second chart is Shop Data Top 15, representing actual sales data for Sega Saturn software. Sega Rally Championship is number 1, followed by Vampire Hunter and Street Fighter Zero. Other popular titles in this sales chart include King of Fighters 95, Guardian Heroes, Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner, and Mobile Suit Gundam. Dragon Force and Sakura Wars are also in the top 10, showing the diverse tastes of Saturn owners, ranging from racing and fighting to RPGs and simulations. The next page presents the Sega Saturn Readers Race Volume 14 and features reader-voted rankings for Saturn games. It's titled, All Soft Readers Check. The main section is Opposu Best 30, a ranking of 30 games based on reader votes. Virtua Fighter 2 tops this chart, followed by Virtua Cop, and then Virtua Fighter again, suggesting different versions or categories. Other games in the top rankings include World Advanced Dai Senryaku, Layer Section, Magical Knight Rayearth, Virtua Fighter Remix, Princess Maker 2, Digital Pinball, Last Gladiators, Daytona USA, and Panzer Dragoon. Many genres are represented, including action, shooting, strategy, RPG, and pinball. Below the Opposu Best 30 ranking, there's a section called New Arrival Hot Horses that highlights recently released games. It focuses on Virtua Fighter 2 and Virtua Cop as top new entries. The review for Virtua Fighter 2 praises its beautiful graphics, various modes, and options, including depth. The reviewer emphasizes the game's appeal for both casual and hardcore players, highlighting the improved AI and the inclusion of the AM2 team's tuning. They mention that with 6,800 yen, it's a must-buy. Virtua Cop is also reviewed positively, focusing on its simple yet engaging gameplay, ranking mode, and satisfying shooting action. The review points out the game's appeal to a wide range of players, and mentions it is priced at 7,800 yen. The reviewer highlights the game's immersive feeling and the excitement of blowing away enemies. This page of the Sega Saturn Readers Race Volume 14 rankings focuses on games ranked 43rd to 98th, alongside the main list featuring titles like Side Pocket 2 and various RPGs, are new arrival reviews. Hot Horses highlights Baku Baku Animal, praised for its addictive, lighthearted fun, and F1 Live Information, noted for its realistic racing experience, despite lacking music. Single Horse Introduction features Victory Goal Worldwide, described as easy to play and beginner-friendly, and Dragon Ball Z Shin Butoden, lauded for its enjoyable gameplay and party game appeal. The page concludes with encouragement to explore lower-ranked games for hidden gems, and includes player comments in the High Score Lord's Voice section. This page reviews several Sega Saturn games and software. New arrival Hot Horses features America Udon Ultra Quiz, a decent quiz game. Hang On Jeep 95, praised for its realistic racing simulation, and Battle Arena Tashindanes, a graphically inferior port compared to the PlayStation version. Virtual Open Tennis is a well-received tennis game, while Tokimeki Mahjong Paradise offers cute anime-style mahjong. Breakthrough is a simple puzzle game, and Jissen Mahjong focuses on realism. Finally, Ketsukan Zenya, a limited edition merchandise item, is also highlighted.
The non-game software section reviews X-Japan Virtual Shock 001, a high-quality music video disc of live concert footage, and Virtua Fighter CG Portrait Series discs, featuring CG poses of Virtua Fighter characters.
This issue previews upcoming SEGA Saturn games. World Series Baseball is noted for smooth animation despite data inaccuracies. Galaxy Fight. Universal Warriors impresses visually but lacks gameplay depth. Super Real Mahjong Graffiti shows graphical improvement but disappointing sound. The software review highlights Virtua Fighter 2 as a hit. SEGA Rally Championship and Mobile Suit Gundam are highly anticipated, with potential surprise hits including Sexy Idol Mahjong and Idol Janshi Suchipai. Contests offer prizes for predicting game popularity, focusing on SEGA Rally Championship and Devil Summoner, and Game Odds,
featuring CG Portrait Series and Fighters Megamix, plus the Mahjong titles. Reader-voted peripheral rankings place joysticks and controllers at the top. A reader contest event offers chances to win peripherals and games via postcard submissions and game reviews. A joystick and power memory set giveaway is also advertised. This page is all about Virtua Fighter 2, diving deep into the game. It reveals a special scoop on how to play as the Golden Dural character. Apparently previously players could use Silver Dural with a specific command, but now with the command down, up, left, right, and at the character select screen, you can unlock Golden Dural, which is a different colored version of the normal Dural. It mentions this works even in versus battles, and that this is a reverse command to the Silver Dural. The page also details how to see Dural's ending in the game. To achieve this, you need to defeat Dural with a KO, while playing on hard difficulty in arcade mode. The game settings like mode, body, time, and continues are free to adjust, but you can't change characters once you start. There's a section called Hard KO Victory, which talks about setting the CPU level to hard. It mentions that the CPU on hard is even stronger than expert mode. It seems the reviewer is excited about this hard mode and the challenge it presents. They also suggest experimenting with other settings, but emphasize that the key is beating Dural with a KO on hard mode. This page is part 1 of a Dual Master Operation Guide for Virtua Fighter 2, focusing on achieving a dual rank recognition. It details strategies for mastering the game, particularly in dual mode. A section titled Dural's Set Techniques lists recommended moves to use against Dural, along with the button inputs and suggested number of uses for each move. There is also a CPU rank strategy section, which offers stage-by-stage advice for progressing through the game. This covers stages 1 to 10, culminating in the bonus stage against Dural. In stage 1 you'll face Legao, stage 2 is against Sarah, stage 3 is Shun Dai, stage 4 is Pai, stage 5 is Lion, stage 6 is Jeffrey, stage 7 is Kaj, stage 8 is Jackie, stage 9 is Wolf, and stage 10 is Akira. The guide provides specific tips for each stage to help players advance and ultimately defeat Dural in the bonus stage. The next page delves into the essential mindset for player versus player battles in Virtua Fighter 2. Highlighting that victory isn't just about picking the strongest character, but mastering the mind game and reading your opponent. It emphasizes that skilled players will always have an edge, regardless of character choice. There are specific strategies mentioned from players known as Ikebukuro Sarah and Shinjuku Jackie. Ikebukuro Sarah's approach is all about aggressive, relentless offense, focused on constant attacking. Shinjuku Jackie, on the other hand, stresses adapting to your opponent's style and developing your own unique fighting approach, rather than just relying on set tactics. Lesson 1 is about offense and defense at the match start. It advises using quick forward dashes and utilizing attacks with good reach to establish dominance and dictate the early flow of the fight. Reading the opponent's initial moves at the start is crucial for getting ahead. Lesson 2 focuses on the crucial concept of distance, or ise in Japanese. It stresses the importance of constantly adjusting your distance to your opponent, understanding when to close in for attacks, and how to control the spacing to your advantage. Finally, the page breaks down combat strategies for different ranges: close, medium, and long. At close range, it's a mix-up between throws and strikes. Mid-range combat is described as being primarily about using set moves, meaning pre-planned attack patterns. Long-range combat is about closing the distance effectively and carefully approaching while considering your opponent's moves. This guide to Virtua Fighter 2
delves into advanced player versus player combat. Lesson 3 emphasizes strategic offense and defense, urging players to recognize attack opportunities and exploit defensive vulnerabilities. It covers mind games, baiting attacks, and varying offensive patterns with combos and throws. Lesson 4 focuses on counterattacks, differentiating between Suki-ga-aru openings and Suki-ga-nai situations. It advises recognizing and capitalizing on opponent errors with fast strikes, P+K, or throws.
Lesson 5 addresses attacking after knockdowns, a crucial advantage.
Offensively, it suggests pressuring opponents with attacks upon rising, while defensively, it recommends unpredictable rising techniques. Finally, the guide highlights key combat changes in version 2.1, including altered backstepping, shorter running distances, modified stagger effects, and the removal of guaranteed knockdowns from P+K attacks, encouraging adaptation. This page continues the Virtua Fighter 2 player versus player strategy guide, this time focusing on using Akira Yuki. It emphasizes using sidesteps to apply pressure on your opponent, highlighting it as a fundamental technique. The guide stresses the importance of reading your opponent's moves and utilizing throws and strikes effectively. The page then breaks down character-specific strategies based on opponent weight classes: lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight. For lightweights, it suggests exploiting their quick movements with throws and counters. Against medium weights, which are described as varied, it advises reading their approach and using sidesteps. For heavyweight opponents, the focus is on avoiding their strong attacks, using sidesteps, and then counterattacking with throws and strikes. Finally, the page shows examples of key techniques to use in matches, such as incorporating sidestep overhead attacks and lower punches, as well as chain combos. It illustrates two-hit combos like the collapse, shoulder strike, into a lower punch, and variations using sidestep overhead blows and the white tiger double palm strike, aiming to equip players with practical combos for battle. This SEGA Saturn magazine excerpt details a Virtua Fighter 2 strategy guide for Pei-chan in player versus player matches. The core strategy emphasizes reading opponents and utilizing throws and counters. The guide breaks down strategies by opponent weight class. Against lightweights, focus on guarding, throws, and counters. Medium weights require careful observation and sidesteps, using techniques like the spinning sweep leg and mid-kick. Against heavyweights, avoid powerful attacks and capitalize on openings with throws and strikes. The article also provides specific combo examples, including the thunder palm strike, application middle kick, and their various follow-ups like spinning middle kick and piercing palm strike, offering players practical combo ideas for pain. This page continues the Virtua Fighter 2 player versus player strategy guide, now focusing on Labu-chan. The page emphasizes using Labu's diverse range of attacks, particularly throws, ground attacks, and counterattacks in player matches. It highlights his ability to launch opponents with throws and follow up with air combos. The guide breaks down strategies based on opponent character types. Against characters who rely on throws, the advice is to anticipate and counter throws with Lucaru's powerful strikes. Against lighter and medium-weight opponents, the key is to carefully observe their movements and utilize sidestepping techniques to create openings for attacks like the spinning sweep leg or middle kick. For heavier opponents, the guide advises against directly confronting their powerful attacks. Instead, focus on exploiting openings with throws and strikes when they appear. Finally, the page features a section on using the spinning back fist palm technique effectively in fights, detailing how to initiate it with a combo and incorporate it into offensive strategies. It showcases a few example combos players can use in matches to effectively utilize Lao Chan's moveset and command inputs. The next page dives into strategies for playing as Wolf Hawkfield in Virtua Fighter 2. The reviewer, Kanoe Hito, notes that Wolf's moves are a bit slow, encouraging players to learn how to fight effectively with this in mind. The guide suggests focusing on counterattacks and throws, especially aerial combos, as key to success with Wolf. There's a section on the psychology of player versus player combat, highlighting how counterattacks from aerial combos deal significant damage, boosted by a 1.5x multiplier. It mentions moves like the shoulder attack and hammer kick, advising players to be mindful of moves that don't knock opponents down. The page then breaks down character-specific strategies. Against lighter opponents, it recommends using counter throws and command throws, and suggests using the body slam and rolling savate to launch them for aerial combos. For medium-weight characters, the advice is to use techniques like close-range body blows, low kicks, and knee blasts to create openings. Against heavier opponents, The guide suggests avoiding direct confrontations and instead using throws and strikes to exploit openings, recommending the Tiger Driver throw. Finally, there are sections on useful techniques in battle, such as the dropkick and body slam, and one-hit reversal techniques that involve guarding and then using moves like the Shiko punch, body slam, or a low throw to counter. It also touches on usable continuous techniques, mentioning guard cancels as a way to link moves effectively, especially against pressure from the opponent. This page is all about mastering Jeffrey McWild in Virtua Fighter 2. It's a strategy guide focusing on how to effectively use Jeffrey's powerful throws and mid-level attacks. The reviewer, Karate Jeffrey, points out that while Jeffrey might be a bit slow, his strength lies in delivering impactful hits. The guide emphasizes using throws as a core part of Jeffrey's offense and mixing up attacks to keep opponents guessing. There's a section dedicated to character-type specific strategies, offering advice for fighting against Lau, Akira, and Sarah. Against Lau, known for fast attacks, the recommendation is to rely on throws and counter with backdashes. Against Akira, who's strong at mid-range, it suggests using quick up and down punches to interrupt his flow and counter with standing punches. Against Sarah, who is fast and agile, the strategy is to maintain distance and punish her approach with low punches and throws. The page also highlights specific moves to use in battle, like the dash elbow, upper punch, and near attack for closing in and initiating offense. It details combo sequences starting from throws and continuous techniques using the near attack to inflict consistent damage. The core message is to leverage Jeffrey's power through strategic throws and well-timed mid-level attacks to dominate opponents in Virtua Fighter 2. This page continues the Virtua Fighter 2 strategy guide, this time focusing on Kagemaru. It's all about using Kagemaru's speed and tricky movements to your advantage. The reviewer, Shadow Circle Cage, suggests using Hitandrun tactics, mixing in throwing stars and reversals to keep opponents guessing and aiming for a KO. The page breaks down strategies for fighting human opponents, emphasizing using quick techniques to interrupt their attacks. It highlights the importance of observing opponents' movements and reacting swiftly. There's a section on character-specific tactics again, advising on how to fight against Akira, Lion, and heavyweight characters. Against Akira, who is strong at close range, the advice is to maintain distance and use counterattacks. Against Lion, known for his rushdown style, the recommendation is to utilize mid-level attacks and throws. Against heavyweight characters like Wolf and Jeffrey, it suggests using crouching punches and throws, capitalizing on openings. The page also showcases some key techniques for Kagemaru in combat situations. These include moves for approaching, like the scattering projectiles and crouching punch, moves for closing in, like the crouching dash, and counter moves like falling edge reversal. There's a section on essential combos, emphasizing starting with throws and using the shadow falling edge for significant damage, particularly against heavier opponents. It recommends linking shadow falling edge into other moves for maximum impact. This guide focuses on aggressive strategies for Sarah Bryant in Virtua Fighter 2. It recommends overwhelming opponents rather than playing defensively. Key moves include the spin turn kick, which enables follow-up attacks and stance changes, and the punch kick combination, along with flash piston and neck breaker. Against specific opponents, the guide suggests aggressively attacking Akira, avoiding predictability, and exploiting openings against Law, and using roundhouse kicks and low punches against Cage. The guide emphasizes using techniques like running in, jackknife kick side, step round kick, and somersault kick. It also highlights one-shot reversal techniques and continuous combo starters to maintain offensive pressure. Ultimately, the guide reinforces Sarah's effectiveness as an aggressive character, especially in Virtua Fighter 2.1. This guide offers strategies for playing Jackie Bryant in Virtua Fighter 2, emphasizing an aggressive, offensive style. The somersault kick, K+G, is the cornerstone move, effective against crouching opponents and best initiated after moves like the slant back knuckle. Against heavyweights, avoid direct punches and instead chain square hook, GP, elbow blow, P+G, and somersault kick. Against new characters, use mid-range attacks like dash hammer kick, left pointing arrow K+G, and roundhouse kick, right pointing arrow K. Specific techniques include using the mid-spin kick against crouching punches and lightning kick against small jumps. To pressure opponents, use the spinning back knuckle following with a somersault kick if it hits, or a throw if blocked. A good combo is knee kick, G.PP, and somersault kick. The knee kick starts combos well. In Virtua Fighter 2.1, increased knee kick usage is recommended for sustained offense. This page focuses on Shundi in Virtua Fighter 2, highlighting his unique drunken fistfighting style. The article emphasizes that Shundi is all about unpredictable attacks and power-ups from drinking. It explains that his fighting style, fueled by alcohol, gives him unique abilities not found in other characters, leading to fast and unpredictable techniques. The guide suggests that drinking in battle is key to Shundi's strategy. It recommends using the drunken stance and unpredictable spinning attacks, especially in close combat. The advice is to confuse opponents with unexpected moves from this drunken style. The page also offers matchup advice against different character types. Against heavyweight characters who rely on power, the recommendation is to use throws and avoid direct confrontations. Against fast, rushdown style characters, the advice is to be cautious and use counterattacks. For beginners playing as Pai-chan, it suggests using tricky techniques and focusing on maintaining distance to capitalize on openings. Finally, the page illustrates some key techniques. These include moves like a punch to the eyes, transitioning to a drinking stance, a turning back elbow strike, and a combo that starts from the drunken stance, leading into a spinning double palm strike. These moves exemplify Shundi's drunken style, designed to overwhelm opponents with unorthodox and confusing attacks. This page shines the spotlight on Lion Raphael in Virtua Fighter 2, diving into his combat style and strategies. It starts by emphasizing medium-range attacks as the core of Lion's gameplay, specifically mentioning the Tsukage move, executed by pressing back or forward and punch. The guide then shifts to character-specific matchup advice. For fights against Akira, it recommends a defensive approach. Against Sarah, the advice is to use footwork, hit-and-run tactics, and to wait for openings. When facing Wolf, it cautions about his throws and suggests employing knees and low attacks. Moving on to practical techniques, the page illustrates using movement to control distance, moving forward and back to manage spacing, and waiting for the opponent to make a move. It also highlights techniques for capitalizing on weakened opponents with follow-up attacks. Finally, it lists some useful continuous techniques like the 7-star sky split, rolling kick step, and shadow kick, emphasizing their effectiveness when chained together. Overall, the page positions Lion as a character who excels at controlling the fight through footwork and adapting his techniques based on distance and opponent type. A staff interview details the development of Virtua Fighter 2 for the SEGA Saturn. The team targeted 66% arcade quality, facing challenges due to the console's limitations. They optimized animation, moving from 1/30th second to 1/60th second animation, and used the Saturn's DSP for collision and background processing. Developers prioritized enjoyable gameplay, overcoming memory constraints and CD-ROM capacity issues. They're proud of the polygon and background rendering. The interview also hints at secrets within the game, including hidden techniques and elements, and looks ahead to the release of Fighting Vipers, wondering if the Saturn's capabilities will be further utilized. This guide uncovers hidden techniques in Virtua Fighter 2 on the SEGA Saturn. Players can remap controls from the character select screen using the Enal button. Special moves include viewing the staff roll by winning with Lamau or Akira, with the G button increasing after images. Name entry is possible in rank certification mode on normal difficulty. Slow-motion replays are accessible by pressing ABC during replays. Victory poses are chosen with P, K, or G after winning. Akira's chair throw, P plus K plus G, can be executed anywhere. The outside ring trap involves canceling kicks with G near the ring edge. Finally, knocking out your opponent outside the ring at the right time can result in both characters performing victory poses simultaneously. This page is all about mastering the basics of SEGA Rally Championship, focusing on tail slides and drifting. It's presented as a step-by-step guide to help you conquer the lakeside course. Step 1 is about learning tail slides, the fundamental technique for rally driving. It explains that in off-road rally racing, full grip driving is rare, and real rally driving involves drifting through corners. The guide breaks down tail slides into steering-only inputs, steering with accelerator inputs, and steering with accelerator and brake inputs, showing screenshots of each technique in action. Step 2 delves into drifting, emphasizing countersteering to control the car. It explains that drift driving is about intentionally sliding the car using countersteering, breaking it down into tailslide initiation, countersteering, and straightening out. The guide also touches on corner entry points and how to adjust steering input while drifting.
Finally, the page tackles the question, is drift driving really fast? It explains that while drifting might slow the car's rotation, it can be faster in cornering depending on the situation. The conclusion is that drifting is fast when done right, especially in corners, and encourages players to master this essential technique.
This guide provides tips for mastering the desert course in SEGA Rally Championship. The course map highlights key sections. Point 1 focuses on the S-curves at the start, advising smooth inside lines and caution on the initial right turn. Point 2 covers the section to the 3 jumps, emphasizing a wider line after the checkpoint, then cutting in. Clearing the jumps at full throttle in 4th gear is recommended. Point 3 deals with the crank and final corner. Mastering the crank's left turn requires careful steering to avoid spinning. For the final corner, use a hairpin left line and reduce speed below 150 km per hour, focusing on the inside line. The target lap time to aim for is 0.5274. This SEGA Rally Championship guide focuses on the intermediate forest course, aiming for a 1 minute 13 seconds and 94 milliseconds lap time. Master this point, emphasizes tight curves and a hairpin immediately after the tunnel.
Players should avoid wide turns and push the hairpin to the limit.
Point 1. Start to A. Stresses a straight, grip-focused start, avoiding walls and excessive drifting. Take the inside line after the tunnel. Point 2. A to B. Prioritizes flow and momentum through the following corners, requiring full throttle and controlled sliding. Timing is crucial after point A. Point 3. B to checkpoint. Details navigating this corner. Take a right side line into the first corner using shift-down braking for an out-and-out line. Maximize corner penetration. The following right corners require early gear changes, full throttle, braking for drift, and then acceleration. The final right requires early braking and a deep entry drift. This guide focuses on improving lap times on the SEGA Rally Championship's intermediate forest course. Key points address critical cornering techniques. Point 4 covers the hairpin turn, emphasizing precise braking and downshifting while turning right. The goal is to initiate a controlled tail slide, clip the apex, and smoothly straighten out. Point 5 details the racing line from the hairpin to point C, advising a safe out-and-out approach, potentially slowing to 3rd gear for control. Smooth steering is key to maintaining grip through the S-curves. Point 6 addresses the final corner, recommending a drifting technique. Trailing throttle initiates a drift, maintained through the corner, followed by full acceleration on the exit for a faster finish. Mastering this final drift significantly improves lap times. This SEGA Rally Championship guide focuses on the upper-level mountain course, a challenging track for experienced players. The guide emphasizes the importance of the first half of the course, particularly from the start to point B. The target lap time is 1 minute 5 seconds and 24 milliseconds. Point 1 covers the initial S-curve, advising a clean run by taking inside lines and maintaining full throttle with controlled drifting.
Precise steering is crucial.
Point 2 highlights the most difficult section, a series of blind, tight corners after the checkpoint, including a short tunnel. The guide advises caution, drift techniques, outside, inside, outside, and downshifting to 3rd gear with drift braking for the right-hand corners to maintain momentum. Practice is essential to master this section. This guide focuses on points 3 to 7 of the upper-level mountain course in SEGA Rally Championship. Point 3 highlights a difficult hairpin, advising 2nd gear, drift braking, and timing. Point 4 stresses a long drift in 3rd gear to navigate a large left-hand corner. Point 5 emphasizes the crucial line for tight corners, recommending full throttle followed by braking for grip. Point 6 focuses on timing gear changes and drifting for a right corner after point C, with an outline and a 150 km per hour exit speed. Point 7 covers the final right corner, using the out-and-out drift technique and full throttle to the finish line, reiterating the target lap time of 1 minute 5 seconds and 24 milliseconds. Quote, this guide provides advanced strategies for SEGA Rally Championship's lakeside course, focusing on 2 critical sections. Point 1. From the start to point A, details handling the initial corners with a machine swing technique. It recommends quickly shifting gears while drifting with an in-out-in line. Point 2. From point A to B, highlights the most challenging part of the course, a series of right-hand turns. The key is maintaining a flowing drift with smooth counter-steering. While the concept is simple, execution is difficult.
The guide encourages using photos for visual reference. The target lap time for mastering the course is 1 hour 6 minutes and 46 seconds.
This guide details advanced driving techniques for SEGA Rally Championship's Lakeside course, focusing on sections B through F. Point 3 emphasizes speed. Maintain full throttle and drift a right-hand corner. Point 4 highlights corner exit speed. Downshift, hard brake, initiate drift, and quickly upshift. Point 5 covers an S-curve. Downshift, drift through each turn using precise gear changes and out-and-out lines. Point 6 tackles 2 consecutive corners. Drop to second gear for the first right-hander and maintain an out-and-out line for both. The guide stresses the importance of mastering drift techniques, gear changes, and optimal racing lines to achieve fast lap times. This SEGA Rally guide details the Lakeside course's final sections. From point F to G, maintain full throttle and power slide in 4th gear. After point Bog, brake before a bump to control your car's posture. Then navigate a right-left corner sequence, utilizing accelerator control in 3rd gear for the first right and braking for the following left drift. The final section, AF to the start, involves an S-curve, then a final 2-turn corner. Use 3rd gear, minimal steering for the initial right, and a controlled drift with braking for the concluding left, avoiding inner walls. The guide encourages pushing your limits in time attack mode, recommending the Lancia Stratos for record-breaking times, particularly on the desert course, aiming for sub-48-second laps. Quote, this article previews the completed SEGA Rally Championship, featuring interviews with the development team. Programmer Nakamura H.E. discusses the realistic driving physics, emphasizing V-charge steering and extensive tuning for optimal car handling. Graphics artist Matsura Hajime highlights the team's focus on achieving arcade-perfect graphics, emphasizing detailed polygon rendering and immersive environments. Horiguchi Ryuichiro discusses the importance of enjoyable handling, particularly for the time attack mode, anticipating competitive player scores. Producer Tetsuya Mizuguchi announces the game's completion, praising the CSR&D team's work and the AM3 team's guidance, promising a high-quality arcade port. The page also announces a time attack event, with prizes for top performers on specific courses, featuring videos and photos signed by the developers. The deadline for entries is specified. This page is a special report focusing on Panzer Dragoon Zwei, and it's exciting because the game was only 15% complete at this stage. The article is all about diving into the unique world and getting a first look at the opening demo. It explains the game's setting, which is thousands of years after a lost civilization where mysterious ruins are scattered about, called Ruins. The story is set in a world where the Empire is using ancient technology for military might, and they are up against Mechanica, a powerful nation in the southern continent. Mechanica is trying to understand the secrets of these ruins, leading to conflict. The piece talks about the impressive opening demo, emphasizing the visual beauty and the game's world. The screenshots showcase the gameplay and story scenes, including characters like Landi Janjanchuk, who seems to be a villager, and Kulia. The reviewer sounds really impressed with the visual style and the rich world being built for Panzer Dragoon Zwei. It's mentioned that the opening demo was already praised for its beauty and visual impact in previous previews. This page continues the Panzer Dragoon Zwei coverage and is all about new screenshot reveals. The article highlights how the viewpoint is now lower and wider compared to the previous game, which they say gives a real sense of speed, especially at ground level. They mention in the air it feels like a proper dogfight. The reviewer is clearly excited to see the game in action. There are screenshots showing off intense battles with dragon riders attacking mechanical forces. It's mentioned that the Empire is invading Mechanicas, and the mechanical forces are fighting back with optical weaponry. One image shows a massive mechanical battleship launching an attack. The text describes a scene where Landy, who is from a village, discovers Mechanica's secret base in a canyon. He stumbles upon a strange creature, a Kulia, which he has raised since it was young in his village. There's a heartwarming moment as the Kulia recognizes Landy. Later, as Landy and the Kulia are together, they see something mysterious in the sky, a shining object. The Kulia seems drawn to it, and its throat starts glowing. When the glowing object gets close, the Kulia fires a laser beam from its mouth. The final screenshots show Landy looking shocked as the Kulia has vanished in a flash of light, leaving Landy alone and bewildered. The text suggests it's unclear where the Kulia went,
but it disappeared without a trace. Landy is left wondering what just happened.
This page reveals that Panzer Dragoon Zwei will feature branching storylines. During stages, there will be points where players can choose different routes. Selecting the right path takes you on the ground, while the left path leads to aerial combat. This choice directly impacts how the story unfolds and changes the stage's development significantly. For example, in the Imperial and Mechanica battlefield stage, your route choice at the branching point will dramatically alter the gameplay. Moving on, we get a glimpse of the boss battles, and they are said to be incredibly intense. The reviewer mentions the boss battles are a major highlight of the game, even more so than in the previous Panzer Dragoon. They've ramped up the polygon count and widened the camera view, making these encounters even more impressive and vast. Screenshots show a massive Imperial transport ship dramatically appearing from high above, eventually crashing and exploding on the ground in flames. A truly AWE-inspiring scene. There's also talk about how your dragon evolves in Panzer Dragoon Zwei. Unlike the first game, where the dragon's appearance stayed the same throughout, in Zwei, your dragon will grow and change its form as you progress through the games.
This is a new element that wasn't clear before, and the article teases questions like, what kind of transformations the dragon, presumably Lejegi's dragon, will undergo and how this ties into the branching path system. It seems there are still many secrets to uncover about the game's mechanics and story.
This page is a special report for Street Fighter Alpha, announcing that the game is 90% complete and nearing its release. It dives into character strategies, specifically for Ryu and Guy. Ryu is highlighted as a well-rounded character, perfect for players of any skill level, from beginners to experts. The article showcases some of his techniques across different skill levels. For basic techniques, it mentions jump and drop, where you knock the opponent down with a jump attack and then follow up with a ground attack. For intermediate skills, it features the large punch to large punch Hadoken combo, a staple move. And for advanced players, they point out the crouching small kick combo as a useful technique. Moving on to Guy.
He's described as a character strong in continuous attacks, though he does have his weaknesses.
His featured techniques include two choices of deception, which is a guard-breaking attack. Another is here, at that time, a combo that's visually appealing and powerful. Finally, they present the Final Fight beat as an advanced technique, a reference to his origins in Final Fight. The bottom section, titled To Hardcore Gamers Guard Experience Talk, is aimed at more serious players. It discusses the importance of guarding and emphasizes the mind games involved in using guard effectively in Street Fighter Alpha. This page continues the Street Fighter Alpha Special Report, diving deeper into character strategies and techniques. We're now looking at Chun-Li, Saddam, and Sagat. For Chun-Li, the emphasis is on speed and keeping the lever held backwards for defense. Her basic strategy revolves around utilizing her speed to overwhelm opponents, stressing the importance of quick attacks and confusing the enemy. They highlight a combo called Sorry, and an advanced version, Sorry Again, but don't detail the inputs. The reviewer thinks her speed is key to victory. Moving on to Saddam. His main strategy is described as sliding life or death, focusing on his sliding attacks. His Jigoku Scraper Da is showcased as a must-know move, and even this works as a continuous technique. The reviewer mentions his unique weapon-based style and suggests getting accustomed to his unusual moveset, noting he's a character who's different from the standard fighters, and you need to embrace that. Finally, for Sagat, the strategy is pulling back, suggesting a defensive and counter-attacking style. His continuous techniques include first is Liver as a starter, and last is Tiger Blow 2 as a more advanced combo.
The reviewer points out Sagat's strength lies in projectile attacks like Tiger Shot and his overall powerful offense, recommending players utilize his projectiles effectively to control the fight. They feel Sagat is all about raw power.
This page announces that Darkstalker's Revenge is finally playable on the SEGA Saturn. It's a special report with a 60% completion mark at this stage, scheduled for a February release by Capcom, priced at 6,800 yen and categorized as a fighting game. The page then dives into Vampire Hunter's basic rules, explaining the game's core mechanics. Players choose one character out of 14 for one-on-one battles, with time limits and depleting health bars. Winning 2 out of 3 rounds secures victory. Double co's and draws are possible, and continues are available for single-player mode. Next, the page breaks down Hunter basic knowledge with gameplay tips.
First up is the dash, which is performed by quickly tapping left or right on the D-pad twice. Dashing distance and properties vary per character. You can even shorten dash distances by inputting the opposite direction on the D-pad. Mid-air guard is explained as a way to nullify attacks by inputting back and up on the D-pad while in the air. Ground guards protect against standing and crouching attacks, while mid-air guards defend against aerial or jump-in attacks, but ground-based projectiles are not guarded in the air. Finally, moving recovery teaches players how to recover after being knocked down by pressing left or right on the D-pad, allowing for movement upon getting up. The page highlights the importance of dashes and character uniqueness as key elements in Vampire Hunter's gameplay, stating that mastering dashes and understanding character-specific traits is vital for victory. This page details advanced combat techniques in Vampire Hunter. It covers chain combos, which are powerful, continuous attacks, but vulnerable to guard cancels. Guard cancel allows players to counterattack directly from a guard. Pursuit attacks are follow-up attacks on downed opponents, differing slightly between characters. The page also explains special stock gauges, focusing on A's and X special moves. A's moves are enhanced versions of regular specials, triggered by pressing multiple buttons. X moves are even more potent, with unique effects for each character. Finally, a report on the Saturn version describes a playtest of the game. The reviewer was impressed with the polished gameplay, smooth animation, responsive controls, graphics, and music. The presence of all 6 arcade characters in the early build was particularly encouraging.
This page details character profiles and move lists for Dmitry Maximoff and Morrigan Aisland from Vampire Hunter. Dmitry, a vampire noble, is a rushdown character with strong chain combos. Key moves include Demon Cradle and Midnight Pleasure, which allow him to overwhelm opponents. The guide recommends utilizing jump-in attacks, dash combos, and capitalizing on Midnight Pleasure opportunities. Morrigan, a succubus, uses short dashes and strong continuous attacks. Her dash resembles a jump, and her long-reach punches and ground/air combos enable versatile approaches. Darkness Illusion is a powerful move for relentless offense. Both characters are strong and best suited for aggressive offensive strategies, each with their unique fighting styles and rewarding to master. This page introduces 2 more characters from the Vampire Hunter game: Lilai, known internationally as Shienko, and Zabel Zarok, known as Lord Raptor. Osienko is described as having low attack power, but a unique fighting style.
She uses chain combos and air dashes, emphasizing tricky tactics and confusing opponents. Her key moves are listed as Returning Device, Rotating Wind Dance, and Heaven Thunder Break, highlighting her unusual and evasive combat approach. Lord Raptor, on the other hand, is all about aerial control and aggression. He excels at aerial combat with strong kicks and combo attacks. His special moves, Death Hurricane, Skull Sting, and Skull Vanish, are highlighted as powerful tools for his relentless, offensive style, focused on overwhelming the opponent with constant pressure. The page emphasizes his aggressive, in-your-face fighting style and dominance in the air. This page continues the character introductions for Vampire Hunter, showcasing John Talbane, known as Galen in Japan, and Rikuo, known as Albath. John Talbane, the werewolf, is all about speed and agility. The page highlights his quick and nimble fighting style, emphasizing his ability to confuse opponents with fast movements and throws. Key moves mentioned include the Beast Cannon, Million Flicker, Climb Laser, and Dragon Cannon, showing a variety of attacks, both grounded and aerial. It also briefly touches on his background as a martial artist who transformed into a beast. Rikuo, the merman, focuses on guard cancel techniques and continuous combos. His Sonic Wave is presented as a crucial move to force opponents into a defensive state, setting up powerful chain combos. The page lists moves such as Sonic Wave, Poison Breath, Screwjet, Aqua Spread, and Sea Ray, showcasing his water-based abilities and varied attack options. His backstory mentions his tragic origins from an underwater kingdom destroyed by a volcanic eruption. The page uses screenshots to illustrate some of these special moves and lists the button combinations to perform them, giving a good overview of each character's fighting style and techniques. This page is a special report on the RPG Air's Adventure from Game Studio, scheduled for release in March '96. It's exciting news because the CG characters are finally animated and moving. They're introducing 3 key characters, Henry, Chayasar, and Vincent, who are the main characters in the game. The visuals are based on original illustrations by Eiji Naganao, and they've really captured the detailed and beautiful artwork in CG. They're emphasizing that the actual game will have this same high level of quality, which is great to hear. We get a look at the heroine, Corinne D. Venix, and another character called Fiache Undine, with some screenshots of them in various poses. There are also shots of one of the male characters, probably Henry, showing off some sword fighting moves. It seems the animation is getting close to being finished, and they mention the protagonist, Henry, uses a sword, really building up anticipation for the game. It sounds like they're expecting players to be impressed with the visual quality and character animations in Air's Adventure. Air's Adventure continues character reveals, showcasing CG-rendered characters, including menacing figures like the Demon Priest and Demon Bumpa. Developers are impressed with the visuals, capturing the essence of original illustrations. Map development is underway, aiming for the same high quality, inspired by Southern European scenery. The backgrounds utilize a natural color palette. The composer is creating cinematic quality music, aiming for seamless integration with the visuals. Interviews with developers reveal excitement about both the graphics and the music, highlighting their crucial roles in creating a compelling gaming experience. This page is a special report about Thunderhawk 2 on the SEGA Saturn. It highlights this 3D shooting game as a sequel to the well-received Mega CD title, Thunderhawk. The article emphasizes that this Saturn version will feature polygons for weapons, terrain, and buildings, promising more realistic explosions and building destruction compared to the previous game. Gameplay seems to be similar, focusing on ground attacks, base assaults, and protecting allies. The article mentions achieving mission objectives for mission completion. The page also details the in-game interface, showcasing elements like weapon mode, compass, target direction pointer, lock-on sight, damage gauge, radar, and ground monitor. It also shows 3 different viewpoints: a front view from the Thunderhawk, a cockpit view, and a rear view. Finally, it introduces 3 missions: South America 1, Mission 1 in Colombia, South America 2, Mission 1, and Central America, Mission 1 in Panama, briefly describing each mission's objective and setting. Mission 1 in South America involves infiltrating a drug cartel's airfield and destroying radar bases with RCC-DOS missiles. Mission 2 in South America is about intercepting and destroying transport trucks carrying stolen goods. The Central America mission in Panama has players targeting Draga's army, destroying enemy communication facilities in San Lorenzo, and eliminating enemy communications. This page highlights a surge of new and upcoming SEGA Saturn games. The new release title section features games like Victory Goal 96, Titan Wars, Kururinpa, Doron and Makun Meramera, Ninku, Lifescape, Roadrunner, Game no Tatsujin 2, and Daibuken Kento Elmos no Iseki. The Coming Soon Soft section is even larger, previewing 25 titles. Notable entries include Guardian Heroes, Dragon Force, King of Fighters, 95, Ginga Oju-sama Densetsu, Yuna Returns, and Virtual Racing. Other games include J-League Pro Soccer Club Wo Tsukuru, Godzilla, Kaiju Daishugo, The Tower, and The Horde. The diverse selection spans genres like beat-em-ups, RPGs, fighting games, and even fishing and mahjong games. The page is aimed at generating excitement for the Saturn, with many games appearing to be RPG or action-oriented. This page continues showcasing exciting new releases for the SEGA Saturn, highlighting Victory Goal 96 and Titan Wars. Victory Goal 96 is featured as the latest installment in the soccer game series, boasting fully polygonal graphics for both stadiums and players, aiming for realistic soccer action through motion capture. It includes 16 clubs and various game modes, such as Exhibition, League, Tournament Cup, and even a penalty kick option. The game is currently 35% complete, according to the page. Titan Wars, from BMG Victor and slated for a March '96 release, is introduced as an adventure shooting game. It promises over 40 minutes of gameplay, with a blend of visual appeal and 3D shooting. Players control a ship equipped with a shield, described as a crucial defense against enemy attacks.
The game emphasizes strategic gameplay, with shields depleting upon taking damage and requiring energy conversion to recharge. Special weapons are also mentioned as key to conquering tougher enemies in this 75% complete title. This page introduces 2 new puzzle games for the SEGA Saturn. The first one is Kururin Pa, an action puzzle game where you strategically connect lines of blocks and bombs to ignite them and send snow daruma to your opponent. It's described as a simple yet engaging puzzle game with 8 selectable characters for versus play, each possessing unique special moves, adding a layer of depth to the gameplay. The goal is to set fire to the guidelines and use bombs to defeat your opponent with snow daruma. Next up is Dero, a puzzle game where you match 4 or more blocks of the same color that fall from the top of the screen to make them disappear. It's mentioned that the gameplay is deceptively simple, but it has a unique twist involving extending hands to connect and chain together Dero blocks, even if they are separated. The game features 4 amusingly named modes, including a Morning till Night Dero mode for single player, and also seems to have a versus mode where you can drop rain clouds of Dero blocks on your opponent. The screenshots show different game modes and emphasize chain reactions and strategic play. This page showcases 2 exciting new titles coming to the SEGA Saturn. First up is Ninku, a competitive fighting action game based on the popular anime and manga. It's all about the strong characters from the series. With 8 playable fighters in total, the focus is on spectacular moves, described as Giga Skills, and even more powerful, Super Giga Skills, including a special move called the 12 Divine Wind Slash. The screenshots highlight the action-packed gameplay and intense battles between characters using these flashy moves. Next we have Lifescape, Life 4 Billion Years Voyage, described as pop science entertainment. This game is themed around the NHK special program, Life 4 Billion Years Voyage, exploring the evolution of life. Players will experience ancient life forms and evolution through observation and experiences within a theme park in the game. It seems you navigate through 8 sections on a navigator machine to explore different themes. The screenshots showcase prehistoric creatures and environments, suggesting an educational and visually interesting experience. The game aims to make learning about evolution accessible and enjoyable, likening the game experience to visiting a museum at home. This page showcases 2 titles. First up is Roadrunner, Legend Returns, an action puzzle game that's a remake of the classic arcade titles. It seems to be all about digging and collecting gold, but with new elements added to the gameplay. The reviewer seems to enjoy the surprise of falling into holes you dig yourself, giving it a score of 90. Next is Game no Tatsujin 2, which translates to Master of Games 2, a collection of 7 different types of games. These include shogi, Go, Mahjong, Renju, Chinese checkers, backgammon, and chess. It's praised as a great collection of classic table games, easy to pick up and play, scoring a whopping 98. The game also has adjustable computer AI levels and a master mode, where you can play against different characters. This page shines the spotlight on Daikukai Sentermo no Kiseki, which translates to Grand Voyage, The Miracle of Sentermo. This is a simulation RPG set in the 1480s, during the Age of Exploration. You'll be navigating the world's oceans in search of your missing father. Along the way, you'll visit various ports to trade goods and earn money, and engage in naval battles at sea. It's even hinted that you'll encounter real historical figures like Columbus. The game promises beautiful visuals and an auto-mapping feature to help you explore. The reviewer seems to be moderately impressed, giving it a score of 70%. Below this, there's a section titled New Production Scoop Information, which gives quick updates on a few other games. Koei, known for historical strategy games, is releasing a title from their popular Sangokushi Aikitsuden series, which is likely part of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms franchise. Horse racing simulation fans will be pleased to see Winning Post 2 mentioned. A sex horror tour is also highlighted for its 3D graphics. Lastly, there are brief mentions of a board game and a rather intriguingly named game called Leave It to Us. Toilet Operation Great Strategy. This section seems to be a quick roundup of various upcoming game news. This page is a reader survey from 4 SoftBank gaming magazines, including SEGA Saturn Magazine, looking for reader feedback and recruiting monitors. They are giving away SEGA Saturn and PlayStation consoles to lucky participants. The survey questions cover what consoles people currently own and which ones they want, listing various systems like Super Famicom, SEGA Saturn, PlayStation, and even some of the more niche consoles like PAC Engine and Neo Geo. They also ask about future console purchase plans and gaming history. A large section is dedicated to understanding which gaming magazines readers are subscribed to, with an extensive list including well-known titles like Famitsu, V-Jump, and Game HIHU, alongside many other publications. The survey wants to know why readers choose to read specific magazines, offering multiple-choice reasons such as in-depth game information, wide coverage of the gaming scene, focus on big-name titles, and a good number of reviews. The rest of the survey is made up of blank questions for further feedback. This survey of SEGA Saturn magazine readers explores their gaming habits and magazine preferences. The survey probes what information aids game purchases, e.g., magazine articles, player feedback, and why they buy games, e.g., articles, price, word of mouth. It also examines preferred genres, purchase frequency, spending habits, and favorite magazine bonuses. Readers are asked about their magazine use after buying games, e.g., strategy guides, and why they keep them. The survey gauges what readers like about the magazine, e.g., game introductions, and their reasons for reading it, e.g., game purchase reference. The final questions delve into amusement arcade habits, including frequency, spending, and companions. Ultimately, the survey aims to understand readers' influences and preferences to inform the magazine's content and appeal. The Circle of Saturn features reader contributions. Navigator, Panna, seeks heartwarming stories to combat end-of-year blues. Older brother shares a humorous tale of their SEGA Saturn's demise, requesting sibling stories. Up, excited about their recent Saturn purchase, describes gaming alone due to limited access and expensive games. So, mourns their Saturn's destruction, caused by a flying disc and a subsequent fall. Previous recounts a comical Virtua Fighter remix experience, highlighting their reaction to the Challenger Comes screen. The section concludes with an image of Sarah Bryant, celebrating the gracefulness of female action. This Kankan Gaku Gaku page debates if role-playing can surpass traditional RPGs, focusing on SEGA Saturn games. Readers share opinions in the Say Anything You Want corner, reacting to game releases like Puzzle Dama, and eagerly anticipating titles like Princess Maker 2. They celebrate arcade ports like Fighting Vipers and Virtua Charlene. The More original section desires more original Saturn titles. The main article analyzes Saturn RPGs, praising Sega's efforts but noting their perceived shorter length compared to Super Famicom RPGs. A reader raises concerns about all ages rated games and their potential for inappropriate content. The discussion then shifts back to RPGs, advocating for more original titles like Riglord Saga and praising Guardian Heroes, ultimately emphasizing the desire for more unique RPG content on the SEGA Saturn. This page showcases reader submissions covering various topics. Enthusiastic Theater and Enthusiastic Mini Theater feature humorous comic strips from readers in Fukuoka, Saitama, and Toyama. Game Kurashi no Chi offers a gaming tip from a Kanagawa resident about using mirrors for arcade games on TV. The Kodawari no Ichiban section features a 22-year-old from Yamaguchi, reflecting on the early SEGA Saturn experience, specifically its 3D graphics. Two Saturn Senryu sections contain poetry contributions from Tokyo, Gunma, and Hiroshima, related to the Saturn and polygon graphics. Finally, Tsukini Nikai Teju no Hollow Circle wa Mitomeyu features a Yamaguchi reader discussing a monthly acknowledgement for minorities. The page emphasizes community contributions, highlighting reader perspectives on gaming and the SEGA Saturn. This page showcases more reader contributions. There's the Enthusiastic Theater and a smaller mini-theater section, featuring reader-submitted comic strips from Fukuoka, Saitama, and Toyama. These seem to be humorous takes on gaming life. In Game Kurashi no Chi, a reader from Kanagawa shares a clever tip for playing arcade-style games on your TV. They suggest using two mirrors to get the full vertical view for games like Wham! And Last Bronx, which were designed for vertical screens in arcades. Kodawari no Ichiban has a 22-year-old from Yamaguchi reflecting on the early days of the Sega Saturn. They recall the impressive 3D graphics, mentioning Virtua Fighter, and how impactful it was compared to previous consoles, even though the polygon graphics were still a bit rough around the edges back then. There are also two sections of Saturn Senryu, short poems about the Saturn. One focuses on the Saturn itself, and the other on polygon graphics, with submissions from Tokyo, Gunma, and Hiroshima. Finally, Tsukini Nikai Taju, no Hollow Circle wa Mitomeyu, has a reader from Yamaguchi proposing a monthly acknowledgement for minorities, though the specifics are left as Hollow Circle. It's a page filled with readers' voices and creative content, highlighting the community around the Sega Saturn. This page features reader contributions across various sections. Nice pose, isn't it? Showcases reader-submitted photos. My Saturn shares personal stories, including tales of impulsive Saturn purchases, Impulse Saturn, intense Bomberman, SS battles, Bomb Saturn, and self-deprecating humor about playing other consoles more often, Gas Saturn. The information section covers diverse topics: silly reader stories, Alien of the Earth, requests for submissions about gamer wives, Fukitena Okusan and Reserve Army, manga illustrations, planetarium picture scroll, and picture scroll theater, Saturn-themed poetry, Saturn River Willow, gaming tips, Game Kurashi no Chi, and freeform poems, occasional rhyme. A Word from Earthling presents reader comments on various topics, including references, pricing, and seasonal bonuses. Voyagers to the editorial department solicits reader feedback and creative contributions, with prizes for published submissions. This page from Dragon Force Scramble Round 4 wishes everyone a happy new year and mentions that the color pages will feature in-depth game system introductions, encouraging readers to look forward to it. The headline expresses optimism about the development progress, hoping players can experience it by New Year's Eve. There are lore sections titled Norn's World History and Voice of the Forest People, which delve into the Dragon Force universe, discussing the goddess Asteria and the creation of races like elves, humans, and dwarves, hinting at the game's rich backstory. A development diary section is also present, dated from December 8th to 22nd. On the right, a fan-created manga section called Peach-Colored Peach Spring Iris of Eros Great Strategy features Dragon Force characters in humorous situations and dialogues, including panels with reactions and funny interactions, showcasing fan engagement with the game. This page continues the Dragon Force Scramble coverage, showcasing a character focus on Jumanon. We get a detailed character profile for Junanziel Neas, including his data like age, height, and combat style. He is described as a prince who inherited the throne and feels burdened by his duties, but is a strong warrior who prefers fighting on the front lines and hates being relied upon. There's a Dragon Force cult quiz with 5 questions testing player knowledge of the game, things like playable characters, famous cities, and character names. The Waiting Room People's Room section seems to feature fan contributions and messages, including character requests and general comments. The Panko and Hasslers, I Don't Want It Until I Win segment is a dialogue between reviewers, discussing the impressive large-scale battles in Dragon Force and strategic gameplay elements. They seem excited about the game's depth. The next issue preview mentions that the next issue will be a month later, and will have more information about the almost completed game, focusing on developer comments and showcasing more of the game's appeal. Finally, there's a mail and illustration recruitment section, inviting readers to send in illustrations and letters for the next issue. This page dives into strategy gaming, specifically featuring a World Advanced Strategy Great Strategy game, seemingly part of a series called WA Great Strategy. It's a player's room section, offering perfect strategies for difficult maps. This particular guide focuses on the Matanikau River Battle from the Japanese perspective, and is set during the period of September 11th to 30th, 1942. Clearly, WW2 themed. The core strategy is to lure the enemy and then strike directly at their command post. The guide advises to gradually increase your unit count and lure the enemy's 5th Marine Regiment. Utilizing air power, especially with units like the Type 97 torpedo bomber and Type 99 carrier bomber, is emphasized to attack the enemy command post. For ground combat, the Type 97 medium tank is highlighted, and it's suggested that even a single unit can be effective. Victory conditions are laid out. A great victory is achieved by destroying all enemy command posts within 15 turns, victory by destroying all command posts, and defeat if your own command post is destroyed. Unit stats are shown for the Type 2 flying boat and close combat soldiers. There's also a history column about the Guadalcanal battle, likely providing background to the game scenario. Finally, a column by Pigwild Kiyoharu discusses the WA Great Strategy Development Team's philosophy, praising the game for its depth and strategic elements. He mentions it's designed to evoke emotions of love, courage, and hope in players, typical of simulation games. Fearsome Superweapons explores unusual units in WA Great Strategy. The German Hanabu, a flying saucer with laser weapons, is a powerful prototype unit. American campaign features the Dragon, a T-Rex-like unit with fire attacks and strong anti-aircraft capabilities. The Japanese campaign introduces Mechanization, a vulnerable, slow-moving mechanized infantry unit. Player submissions discuss unit appearances, evolutions, and unidentified flying objects. Finally, the Small Arms Arsenal highlights the T-26 Soviet tank, a light tank with a licensed design and significant deployment history, including a flamethrower variant. The page concludes with a call for reader submissions and magazine contact information. The Internet Saturn, Access the World. Article details how to connect a SEGA Saturn to the Internet, even for beginners. It frames the Internet as a global network, a world's main telephone exchange, allowing two-way communication compared to one-way TV broadcasts. The article explains that users need an internet provider to access the network and highlights the ability to view images, videos, and programs. An interview with APRI's Mr. Toyama, the Internet Saturn system developer, reveals that using the Saturn for Internet is affordable. He stresses the system's efficiency in handling data, even with the Saturn's CPU limitations. Toyama emphasizes the Internet's freedom of information access, noting its reach to countries like China and the availability of diverse content. While acknowledging copyright issues, he promotes the increasing accessibility and affordability of Internet access for everyone. This page continues the discussion about using a modem for SEGA Saturn Internet access, explaining it simply as a translator for computer signals over phone lines, enabling communication. The article then enthusiastically describes the Internet as a vast new world accessible by opening the door, emphasizing its immense scale and encouraging exploration, while also cautioning about phone bill costs. It clarifies what's needed to get online with the Saturn console itself, a modem, and signing up with an internet provider, comparing these to keys for your house and the internet world. It also touches on concerns like children accessing inappropriate content and potential high costs, suggesting parental controls and firewalls as solutions. Moving on to personal internet experiences, J. Oyazawa mentions the internet boom and the rapid flow of information, using it for news and even SEGA Saturn and Nintendo 64 info. They name drops various internet tools and concepts used by advanced users and artists, recommending careful homepage selection and highlighting the Mixmaster Morris homepage. Mitsuharu Origuchi also shares their internet usage, focusing on the creative and artistic side, mentioning Irresistible Force and DJ activities. They appreciate visually rich homepages and recommend checking out Atari Japan's page. Finally, Mr. Toyama from APRI is featured again, with a profile mentioning his role in developing the Internet Saturn system and his preferences for games like Virtual Cop, Pole Position, and some more light-hearted, refreshing games. Yamato Sawamura enthusiastically reviews the game Deep, praising its depth and character customization. He particularly enjoys the bodybuilder-style character creation and highlights varied gameplay elements like Beyond Coastline and Super Excite Fishing. Sawamura shares a positive experience playing with Mr. K, even recounting a trip to a hot spring. Kenichi Sigatu's Dobdob's favorite section focuses on game development updates. He discusses the busy end-of-year production cycle and the current gaming market, highlighting the popularity of PlayStation and Sega Saturn consoles. Sigatu is currently patching Virtua Fighter 2, aiming for smooth 60 FPS animation in high-resolution graphics. He acknowledges the game's continued success and visual improvements on both platforms. Ikebukuro Sara's Barcha Crash Volume 9 chronicles a writer's reflections on turning 30, his past recklessness, accumulated debt, and his decision to leave his job and return to Tokyo. The piece explores themes of debt, social life, and reinvention. Other segments include Message to Writers, inviting submissions to SEGA Saturn Magazine's Chaos section, and Korodama, PC Game World, a review that discusses advancements in PC gaming graphics. The reviewer praises the progress, but criticizes the lack of utilization of Sega's technical capabilities for animation, and expresses disappointment with the gameplay depth of certain titles, while anticipating the arrival of Sonic. Finally, Next Level Man presents a humorous manga strip about a man's reaction to a woman's computer demonstration. This page from High Tech column, titled Open the Hyperbox Invitation from Next Level Multimedia, explores the burgeoning Internet era and its implications. The article, Internet and Grass Also Sleeps, notes the increasing presence of the Internet in daily life, comparing it to the past dominance of television. It highlights the collaborative efforts of Sega and Nissan in making Internet access more affordable and accessible. The piece also mentions Sony's power-wide television, suggesting advancements in display technology suitable for Internet browsing. The section, Is English an Essential Skill?, delves into the question of whether English proficiency is necessary for navigating the Internet in Japan. It observes that while Japan primarily uses Japanese online, Asian countries tend to utilize English more, drawing a contrast with the WEGIS. The article references an NHK program discussing current media trends, suggesting a broader media context to the Internet's role. Finally, Internet Business and Digital Cash discusses the emerging potential of Internet business in Japan, drawing parallels to the established model of television advertising. It touches upon the concept of digital cash as a future payment method, acknowledging the then nascent stage of Internet security and the continued reliance on credit cards. The article concludes by pondering the future of Internet business and digital payment systems, anticipating their development and widespread adoption. A profile section on Kazutoshi Uwada and an information jewel box 11 are also present, though their detailed content is not elaborated upon in this overview. This page is a sales advertisement from a game store called Santa, promoting a consumption tax not required sale event. The page is packed with lists of games and accessories available for Sega Saturn, Mega Drive, and Game Gear, all at special prices. It's structured into sections like Saturn Main Unit Special Price and New Arrival Corner, showcasing the latest game releases for the Saturn. They're selling various Saturn titles from different genres, alongside a wide selection of Mega Drive games and even Game Gear titles in the GG Plus Own section. For hardware, they have MD peripheral equipment and surrounding equipment sections, featuring items like joysticks, memory cards, cables, and even audio-visual accessories. The page also dedicates areas for soccer software, basketball software, golf software, and football software, highlighting sports games. Essentially, this is a comprehensive price list for a retro game store targeting Sega fans, offering a wide array of software and hardware at discounted prices. It's a classic example of print advertising from the era, aiming to attract customers with a vast selection and tax-free deals. This page is a celebratory announcement. It's congratulating the Sega Saturn Evangelist Headquarters Director, Kenji Iino and Warp, for winning the Multimedia Grand Prix 95 Minister of International Trade and Industry Award. Their winning work is D no Shokutaku, which we know internationally as D's Dinner, or Dinner of D. It mentions this award is quite prestigious, recognizing it as the #1 multimedia content of the year. Then there's a feature titled Aim for the Satamaga Grand Prix, introducing a game called Oyaji Hunter Mahjong. This looks like a quirky mahjong game where you play as a beautiful girl and defeat Oyaji, which is like old men or dads in mahjong matches. The gameplay involves weakening them with mahjong attacks and then using special items to defeat them. It sounds pretty wild. Next up is an interview section called Interview to Game Musician Ukulele Ino's Doremi Fa Talk. This seems to be an interview with Ino Kenji focusing on music and game creation, in a segment called SST Band no Maki, Part 1. There's also a section reminiscing about Beep, Mega Drive magazine from January 1992, page 115. It briefly mentions the development of a game called Wrestleball, and groups involved like Ukulele Ino, Terranet Kakubako Club, and Hayashimaru Gakudan. Finally, at the bottom, there's a music score and lyrics for a song titled Let's Sing Together Be Mega Theme, which appears to be a theme song related to Be Mega. SEGA Saturn magazine highlights SNK and the upcoming Neo Geo CDZ, touted for its double speed and faster loading times compared to the original Neo Geo CD. The magazine also previews a large-scale Neo Geo World amusement park opening in Ibaraki Prefecture, offering Kizar, motion rides, food, and karaoke. The Neo Geo latest information section focuses on Real Bout Fatal Fury, the King of Fighters Special, the fifth installment in the Fatal Fury series. It's a continuation of Fatal Fury 3, introducing a ring-out mechanic and featuring characters like Geese Howard, with release dates and prices for both cartridge and CD versions provided. Reader sections include fan letters and character opinions, with appreciation for the Samurai Showdown series and Ryuhaku Todo's unique fighting style. SEGA Saturn magazine features updates from various game developers. ArtDink aimed to leverage PC game development techniques for Saturn titles. ISC and IMAX both sent holiday greetings while teasing multiple 1996 game releases. ASMIC highlighted the success of Treasure Hunter Perfect Collection and hinted at new projects. Arc System Works focused on Wizards Harmony 2, incorporating user feedback. Ancients announced the racing game Touge King the Spirits. Executive Development previewed titles like Thunderstorm and Road Blaster. Kaneko prioritized quality software based on player feedback. Climax discussed Dark Savior, emphasizing gameplay. Game Studio considered game creation an art form. Konami Industry completed Mahjong Hyper Reaction R, highlighting player engagement. Time Warner Interactive promoted its magazine. Sky Think System mentioned Kururin Pa's success. SETA reflected on the past year and outlined 1996 goals. Finally, SoftBank announced its entry into the Sega Saturn market, promising a robust software lineup. Sega Saturn developers are gearing up for 1996 with a diverse range of games. T&E Soft aims for enjoyable titles, while Data West focuses on CD-ROM content. Treasure promises high-quality games like Guardian Heroes, and Sega Enterprises highlights a strong software lineup including Sega Rally Championship 2. Namco and Nichibutsu promise exciting new software, including Rakugaki Showtime Neo. Hudson prioritizes user feedback and international recognition, with titles like Bulk Slash. Sonnet is developing a dating sim, and Banpresto will release a Fist of the North Star game. Bandai Visual plans Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon titles, and Bisco promotes accessible games. Pi continues its Pi Beremu series, and Human is working on puzzle games incorporating user feedback. Pioneer LDC targets female players with manga-style games. Bing caters to French gamers, and Microcabin aims for user-friendly titles. Micronet and Messiah also announce new titles and aspirations, with Messiah aiming for a significant sales target with their SRPG. This page is an advertisement for Arcade Game Magazine, highlighting its upcoming issue. It's packed with scoops and continuing coverage, featuring titles like Real Bout Fatal Fury, Cyber Troopers Virtualon, Manx TT, Super Godfist/Godfist Legend 2/D&D, and Tokimeki Memorial Taisen Puzzle Dama. The magazine promises a special feature titled Coffin Our Dreambox, focusing on Sega AM4 research and development, featuring a large simulator experience report. As a special bonus, this issue includes a Sega AM3 special illustration poster of Cyber Troopers Virtualon and is set to release on January 9th. Priced at 490 yen. Inside you can find perfect guides for games like Sky Target, Virtual Cop 2, Marvel Superheroes, Samurai Showdown, Zenkuro Musuken, and Fighting Vipers. There's also a new release scramble section covering Skullfang, 19XX, Mahjong Dukyusei, Special, Tetris Plus, and other titles. Additionally, there are advertisements for Alice Soft Art books, specifically for Mugen Huyu and Tujin Toshi 2. Mugen Huyu is presented as original art and setting material collection for the PC adventure game, promising detailed CGS, original artwork, character analysis, and scenario details with short stories and character illustrations. It's priced at 2,300 yen and slated for late December release. Tujin Toshi 2 is also advertised as an art and setting material collection for the hit PC RPG, showcasing beautiful development materials and comprehensive strategy guides, including special pinups, priced at 2,500 yen. This advertisement page promotes Sega Saturn and Mega Drive games and accessories. It heavily features the upcoming Sega Rally Championship 2 for Saturn, slated for a December 29th release, and proclaims, "Winter is decided by this. Still more December releases." Section highlights numerous available Saturn games like NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Clockwork Knight, and Lunar, with prices around 5,220 yen or 6,120 yen. Recommended new release information focuses on Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner, and Mobile Suit Gundam for Saturn. A Game Soul shop section sells character merchandise. Mega Drive receives special price listings for games such as Street Fighter II Champion Edition. The page concludes with accessory and hardware listings for Saturn and Mega Drive systems. Essentially, it serves as a comprehensive shopping guide for Sega enthusiasts. This page is a schedule of new software releases for the Sega Saturn. It's called the New Soft Schedule and breaks down upcoming games by release month, starting from February through to spring. The page explains the table layout, detailing columns for release date, title, price, maker, genre, and compatibility. Genre abbreviations like ACT for action, RPG for role-playing, SLG for simulation, and others are listed. Looking at February, we see games like Godzilla Island Destruction, Blackfire, Theme Park, Virtua Racing Sega Saturn, Mobile Suit Gundam, Battle of the North Star, Devil Summoner, Sega Rally Championship, and Wizard's Harmony. The genres are quite varied, from simulation and racing to action and RPG. Some games like Godzilla Island Destruction and Chaos Control are noted as compatible with the mouse, and Virtua Racing uses the handle controller. Moving into March, titles include Kion Kion Bunny premieres, tentative, Zork 1, Titan Wars, Albert Odyssey Gaiden Legend of Eldian, and Dragon Force, spanning genres like adventure, RPG, and strategy. April features Aquazone for Sega Saturn and Furaiki. June lists Rescue as a title, and then a spring section mentions Sakura Wars, New Century Evangelion, Thor Spirit King Chronicle, Panzer Dragoon Zwei, and World Advanced Daidousen Strategy File, tentative, showing a strong lineup including strategy, RPG, and action titles. Many of these spring titles are marked as tentative release dates. The software schedule expands to include spring releases for the Sega Saturn, Mega Drive, and Game Gear. Saturn's spring lineup features action and RPGs like King of Fighters, 95 and Lunar. Summer has one title, Great Sports Meet, with autumn seeing Ragnarok stage. The end of 96 includes Success Story, Snatcher, and Cotton 2, and 97 brings Guardian Force. Undated Saturn games include X Japan, Virtual Shock, 002, NBA Basketball Saturn, and more. Mega Drive and Mega CD have December 22nd releases like Papenga Pengo and Surgical Strike. Other titles include Zell no Yume Monogatari, Shadowrun, and Alien 3. Game Gear has December 22nd, An's Ninku 2, and January's Lunar, The Silver Star, and Baku Baku Animal. A Virtua Fighter release is also planned. December 22nd is a big release day, and the magazine will be revamped with a new schedule format. AM2 Research is also working on a big project. This page is a reader survey postcard from the magazine, providing instructions on how to fill it out correctly. It gives examples of good and bad answers. The survey includes tables, listing articles featured in this issue, hardware, and software. Table 1 lists articles such as Landmark, Data Station, Sega Saturn Readers Plaza, special features on Sega Rally Championship 2 and Panzer Dragoon Zwei, Street Fighter Zero, Virtua Cop Hunter, and news on upcoming titles like New Release Title, Voyager, Dragon Force Scramble, and Internet Saturn. Table 2 is a hardware list, including consoles like Sega Saturn, HI Saturn, Mega Drive, Super 32X, PlayStation, 3DO, PC FX, Super Famicom, PC Engine Series, Neo Geo CD, Game Gear, Virtual Boy, Nintendo 64, and PC. It also lists peripherals, like the multiplayer adapter, photo CD player, electronic organizers, racing controllers, and the facsimile. Table 3 is a software list featuring a wide variety of Sega Saturn games, including Idol Janshi Tsuchipai 2, Aquazone, Arena, Albert Odyssey Gaiden, Alone in the Dark 2, Waku Waku 7, Wing Commander 3, Daytona USA, X-Men, Children of the Atom, and many more titles spanning different genres such as RPGs, action, fighting, and simulation. The survey itself asks readers about their gender, age, school/occupation, SEGA Saturn software ownership, what computer game magazines they read, and their opinions on the articles in this issue. It also asks about their desires for future articles and their preferences for hardware and software. This page is all about the upcoming SEGA Saturn game Guardian Heroes. It's being touted as a fantastic action RPG, with a completion rate of 98%, suggesting it's very close to release. The page highlights two main modes: Story Mode, which looks like a classic side-scrolling action experience, and a 26-player Battle Mode, implying chaotic multiplayer action. The text talks about how 32-bit consoles are pushing polygons and rendering, but Guardian Heroes is sticking to sprite and dot-based graphics to really focus on gameplay. It suggests the game blends the exhilaration of fighting games with RPG elements to create a new genre they are calling dramatic RPG. The article emphasizes that the game is aiming for pure fun and enjoyment for both gamers and developers. We can see screenshots from both modes, showcasing the detailed sprite art and fast-paced action the game promises. There's also info about it being a Sega action RPG, released on January 26th, priced at 5,800 yen, with support for 2 players simultaneously in story mode, and up to 6 players in versus mode using a multitap. The article sounds very enthusiastic about Guardian Heroes, positioning it as a must-play title on the Sega Saturn. This page continues the look into Guardian Heroes, diving deeper into Stage 1, titled Awakening. It sets the scene by explaining that the initial stage of story mode will draw in players, and highlights a key moment, the undead appearance scene. The page breaks down the gameplay flow of Stage 1, starting with obtaining the legendary sword, followed by a sudden enemy ambush. It mentions escaping a burning room, and emphasizes the desperate situation. Later, it teases a powerful magical enemy soldier reviving from the cemetery, which players will have to confront and defeat. The text really emphasizes the dramatic and action-packed nature of the game. Moving on to characters, it introduces the 4 main playable characters in story mode: Han, Randy, Nicole, and Jinjiru, plus Selena, who is mentioned as a helper character in Stage 1 for beginner players. It then profiles 2 characters, Han Samuel and Randy and Edward. Han is described as a power fighter, good for beginners, and effective in close combat. Randy, on the other hand, excels in magic, and is advised to focus on strengthening his power and stamina to offset his weaker close combat abilities. The page provides initial stats for both, listing power, stamina, intelligence, spirit, speed, and luck attributes for each. It mentions that in co-op play, choosing characters with complementary strengths is a good strategy, and that parameters like power, stamina, and spirit will likely increase as you progress. This page continues the Guardian Heroes feature, now moving on to Stage 2, which is titled Overture of Hope. The page highlights how the combat system has evolved, describing it as even more intense. It talks about making choices in how you develop your characters after clearing stages, suggesting you can either enhance their strengths or compensate for weaknesses by distributing gained points among 6 parameters: power, stamina, intelligence, spirit, speed, and luck. These stats impact things like attack power, defense, magic, and even luck. It hints that finding the right balance is key, and part of the fun in strategizing your character builds. The page also mentions that Stage 2 and beyond will have branching scenarios based on your choices. These choices will influence the story, ending, and overall difficulty of the game, encouraging players to try different paths. Finally, it introduces character profiles for Nicole Nile, Jinjiru Ibushi, and Selena Kolsei. Nicole is described as a character whose attack power is lower, but she is designed as a support type, excelling in cooperative play and using healing magic and barriers. Jinjiru, in contrast, is a technical fighter good at close combat and evasion, suited for skilled players. Selena is presented as a balanced character, proficient in melee, magic, and support, making her versatile and easy to use. The page shows their initial stats, highlighting Nicole's high luck, Jinjiru's strong spirit, and Selena's more rounded attributes. This page spotlights stages from Guardian Heroes, starting with Stage 3, Forest Green Monster, featuring a giant plant boss and the character Manon. Stage 4, Magical Weapon. sees intense action with robotic enemies and the heroes infiltrating the kingdom to confront cannons. Stage 5, Powerless Rebellion, involves joining the resistance and questions the village god's true nature. Stage 6, Kingdom's Trap, is set in a wasteland and introduces the enemy, Godatsu. Stage 7, Captive Nation, Bridge Dyed in Blood, presents a bloody bridge battle with the village god and troublesome magical weapons. The page also includes gameplay tips. Basic Knowledge confirms the game's release is imminent and covers core mechanics. Easy Guard for Beginners explains the user-friendly guard system, emphasizing its versatility in air, ground, and while dashing. Stages 8 through 12 of Guardian Heroes are highlighted. Stage 8 features undead enemies in Valgar. Stage 9 involves intense battles against Valgar and Machos. Stage 10 takes place in a city with robot encounters and citizen interactions. Stage 11 presents a duel with Gash and Barnes. Stage 12, set in a castle, likely marks the final confrontation. Gameplay tips include effective magic usage, charging spells by holding Z after input, with different charging methods for various magic types. Magic power is influenced by character stats. Mid-air combat is also addressed, advising strategic use of aerial movement, highlighting the importance of positioning and timing over button mashing. This page highlights another exciting aspect of Guardian Heroes: the massive roster of 45 playable characters, and the ability to engage in battles with up to 6 players simultaneously. The page details the character selection screen and mentions that players can unlock more characters by playing through the story mode. There's a helpful section explaining character controls and a command list describing various moves like dash attack and magic. Below, it proudly displays 36 of the available characters, showcasing a diverse cast, including characters like Han, the Kingdom Soldier, Randy, the Kingdom Knight, Jinjiru, the Kingdom Swordsman, Nicole, the Kingdom Magic Warrior, Serena, the Ancient Magic Warrior, Undead Hero, the Skeleton, Superhero, the Zombie, and Kanan, the Resistance. The page emphasizes that Guardian Heroes caters to all sorts of playstyles and preferences with its varied character selection, encouraging players to find their favorites and enjoy the game's multiplayer action. This page dives deeper into the customizable battle options of Guardian Heroes, emphasizing the detailed settings to create the perfect versus experience. It highlights different battle modes, starting with the classic time-limitless battle, where the last player standing is the winner. The page then shows screenshots of the key config and player registration screens, suggesting deep customization options for controls and player profiles. It briefly touches on character score and player score sections, likely showcasing in-game stats and rankings. Another featured mode is the 1 to 99-minute continuous battle, a timed mode with a point system that lets you revive multiple times within the set duration. The page teases, the remaining 9 people's true identity is in your hands, revealing 9 more playable characters from the game. These characters are presented with sprites and Japanese names, including Balga the Wolf, Kadi the Goblin, Gashu the Mid, Zuru the Cyclops, Page Silver the Female Citizen, Macho the Child Citizen, Sanbo the Old Man Citizen, Godatsu the Drunkard Citizen, and Kataude no Undead, which translates to One-Armed Undead. The Coming Soon soft header indicates this page is part of a preview section for upcoming games, and it seems Guardian Heroes is generating a lot of excitement with its robust multiplayer features and diverse character roster. This page continues to showcase Guardian Heroes and its multiplayer mayhem, emphasizing the diverse battle styles available. It kicks off by stating this isn't your average fighting game, highlighting the chaotic, multiplayer battles possible. The page mentions that tense one-on-one duels are also a core feature for those who prefer a more focused fight. It then introduces some quirky battle modes. One is described as feeling like a pet fighting arena, with 6-player EDV, likely referring to the small characters, battles, picturing a comical scene of tiny characters fighting in an arena. Another mode focuses on giant battles, showcasing comically large characters duking it out, described as a cramped and cute showdown with massive fighters. The page then shifts to character selection settings, boasting endless play variations. It breaks down player settings where you decide human or computer players, character settings to choose your fighter from the roster, team settings to define team alliances, A2F teams for up to 6 players and possible team battles, and level settings where you adjust character stats like strength and MP, ranging from levels 20 to 30 and beyond, even mentioning random level settings for unpredictable fights. The overall message is that Guardian Heroes offers a huge range of customizable multiplayer experiences to suit all tastes. Guardian Heroes is touted as a technically impressive game with depth beyond graphics and sound. The page highlights features like Godat Tribe Full Assembly and hints at unique mechanics with Citizen Power. A reviewer praises the game's exhilarating development, large cast, simple controls, and character creation, recommending it to both Mega Drive fans and newcomers. The text also details combat strategies, emphasizing the importance of tactical retreats in chaotic battles with ancient magic and military magic. Victory taunts, common in fighting games, are highlighted, humorously noting potential player frustration with them. Finally, the page explains character customization, allowing players to select from 6 color variations for each character using different button combinations. This page is all about the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, Dragon Force, and it's really shaping up nicely with development at 75% completion. It looks like a deep simulation RPG focused on grand strategy and compelling characters. The game boasts over 100 characters, creating a rich human drama, with battles that spring up from unexpected encounters. The reviewer emphasizes the game's system is now complete and dives into the game flow. The core of Dragon Force revolves around unifying the continent of Legendra, and to do this you must choose a lord to play as. There are 8 lords in total, but initially it seems you can select from 6, with Goldark and Rain not available at first. The game map of Legendra is shown to highlight the different kingdoms. Each kingdom and its ruling lord are briefly introduced, like Tristan of Tristan Kingdom, Leon of Topaz Kingdom, Tyrus of Moonpale Kingdom, Wayne of Highland Kingdom, Mikatsuki of Izumo Kingdom, and Gonkos of Posak Kingdom. The reviewer suggests choosing your lord based on your preferred playstyle and strategic location on the map. It sounds like choosing the right lord is the first key step to conquering Legendra. Dragon Force's gameplay revolves around conquering the continent of Legendra. Players choose a lord and then navigate a strategic map. The game involves selecting generals like Wayne and Rao, forming armies, and conquering castles. During the command phase, players customize their army composition and hire units based on general abilities. Armies move across the world map, leading to battles. Battles have battle preparation and battle execution phases, allowing for strategic troop deployment and tactical choices, including retreat or negotiation. Post-battle, rewards are given, shifting to an internal affairs phase. Here, players manage their kingdom, reward generals, and handle events. Successful generals gain new skills, emphasizing character development alongside grand strategy. The game promises strategic depth and an engaging gameplay loop. SEGA Saturn owners were hyped for the King of Fighters 95, slated for a spring '96 release. The magazine showcased the main and rival teams featuring Kyo, Nkidi, Terry, and Ryo, with team customization options. A survey revealed that only 36% of respondents owned a Neo Geo, with many non-owners regretting it now that Saturn ports were available. Top requested Neo Geo game ports included Samurai Showdown, Warrior's Rage, Real Bout Fatal Fury, and Samurai Showdown 2. Readers desired perfect ports, Saturn-exclusive modes, lower prices, faster loading, easier controls, and exclusive Neo Geo games on the Saturn. They sought to maintain the original game's feel while incorporating Saturn-specific enhancements. Contact information for feedback was included. This page reveals details about the upcoming Real Bout Fatal Fury 3, slated for release in spring '96. It highlights the combination arts system in Fatal Fury 3, emphasizing mastery of these techniques. The page also announces the release of the new Neo Geo title, Real Bout Fatal Fury. Moving on, there's a survey about favorite Neo Geo characters. Kukyo Kusanagi from King of Fighters series takes the top spot, praised for his cool demeanor and fire abilities. Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury and King of Fighters series is second, admired for his manliness and iconic winning pose. Rounding out the top 3 is Iori Yagami from King of Fighters series, described as popular despite being disliked by some, with his purple flames and unique style being points of interest. The survey also asks about desired Neo Geo titles for Saturn ports. Chaff Fighter 2 tops the list, with readers wanting to experience the thrill of Neo Geo user versus VF user and hoping for enhanced cross-licensing understanding. SEGA's message expresses gratitude for the survey responses and acknowledges the desire for more Neo Geo ports on Saturn, especially games related to Samurai Showdown. They reassure fans that they are listening and will continue to provide information. Finally, the editorial team shares their thoughts, noting the passion of Saturn owners for games and their anticipation for Neo Geo titles on the platform, expressing their commitment to continue bringing exciting content to readers. This page previews the SEGA Saturn version of Virtual Racing, promising a near-complete release. It focuses on a time attack contest and details 4 courses, including the beginner-friendly Surfers Speedway Oval. The page showcases 5 distinct car types: the go-kart, coupe, F-160s, F1 for time attacks, and GTP. Each car offers unique handling characteristics, catering to different playstyles and skill levels. For the Surfers Speedway Oval, the page provides a target time, 3,942, and driving tips, including advice on cornering, throttle control, and manual versus automatic transmission. Expert tips from Time Warner Interactive encourage players to practice, perfect their racing lines, and consider manual transmission for optimal performance in the Time Attack Challenge. This page delves deeper into the SEGA Saturn version of Virtua Racing, now showcasing 3 distinct courses: Alpine, Metropolis, and Pacific Coast. These are categorized by difficulty as intermediate, advanced, and super advanced respectively. For each course, the page helpfully provides a target basic time to aim for, and some crucial racing tips to conquer them. Starting with Alpine, the advice mentions that a full throttle start in 7th gear is tricky, suggesting downshifting to 4th or 5th gear initially. Cornering tips are given for hairpin turns and complex sections, advising 5th gear for those. Time Warner Interactive chimes in, labeling it a simple course overall, and stressing clean cornering and tunnel exits for better times. Moving on to Metropolis, it's described as a winding track, where straight corners still require deceleration. They highlight polygon buildings as trackside landmarks, and point out a tricky pedal corner. The racing advice emphasizes careful acceleration control through corners. Time Warner Interactive again adds advice, pointing out the polygon buildings and that pedal corner, recommending smooth, high-speed driving lines to navigate it effectively. Finally, Pacific Coast is presented as the most challenging of the 3. It features curves that demand full throttle but also braking. For hairpin corners, 4th gear combined with braking is recommended. Gear changes and generally tough corners are emphasized. Time Warner Interactive concludes with advice that the course is full of continuous sharp turns, cautioning against spinning off-road, and suggesting an in-out shortcutting strategy to master it. This page is all about J.League Pro Soccer Club o Tsukuru, which translates to Let's Make a J.League Pro Soccer Club. It's billed as a sports simulation game for the SEGA Saturn, where you become the representative and manager of your own J.League club, aiming for the top. The page highlights that you'll choose a hometown for your club, with different regions affecting things like land prices and population, influencing your club's future. You also get to pick sponsors from various industries like cable TV, taxis, newspapers, and construction, each offering different benefits. The screenshots show gameplay moments, like match scenes with polygon players, and in-game management screens. It mentions that the game is 75% complete and is scheduled for release in February, costing 6,800 yen. It also mentions password battles as a feature. The article emphasizes the depth of club management and the excitement of leading your own team to J.League glory. This page continues detailing the exciting events you'll encounter in J.League Pro Soccer Club o Tsukuru. It dives into the human element, explaining that player lifespans are around 20 years, and managing relationships with players is crucial. You'll experience events like signing promising rookies, welcoming back players from overseas training, and dealing with player retirements which can impact team morale. The game also simulates player mood, which can be checked in meetings. Players can be in good spirits or bad spirits, indicated by emoticons. If players are unhappy, it can lead to mistakes in games, or even them requesting transfers. Accidents and injuries are also a factor. Players can get injured during matches or training, sometimes seriously. The severity of the injury can even force a player into early retirement. It stresses careful player management to avoid burnout and injuries. Keeping fans happy is also key. You need to invest in stadium facilities to improve the spectator experience. like adding roofs. Creating an official supporters club is also vital to expand your fan base and revenue. Stadium shops are highlighted as another important income stream, selling food, merchandise, and character goods. This page dives into Godzilla Archipelago Shock, showcasing the finished game with a 100% complete badge. The article highlights that this game is a deep dive into the world of Godzilla, drawing from the entire history of the movies, over 41 years worth. It emphasizes the developer's dedication to quality and love for Godzilla, evident in every aspect of the game. The reviewer mentions the game uses movie-like cutscenes and fully 3D models of monsters, bringing them to life on the SEGA Saturn. Gameplay seems to involve strategic elements, as you can see isometric views of cities and monster battles. They talk about movement in the game and how it has been refined, allowing you to easily direct monsters to their desired locations. The page teases a story mode spanning 10 stages, posing the question of, what will Godzilla's fate be in this epic narrative? The roster of monsters appearing is quite extensive, including classics like Anguirus, Rodan, Mothra, Larva and Adult, Mechagodzilla, Gigan, King Ghidorah, Hedorah, Biolante, Batra, Larva and Adult, Space Godzilla, Destoroyah Aggregate, Red Godzilla, G-Force Mechagodzilla, Super Mechagodzilla, and Fire Rodan, plus even more. It seems like a monster fan's dream come true. Godzilla Archipelago Shock features a map mode for players to master battle tactics, separate from the 10-stage story mode. This mode allows strategic freedom, with rank announcements after completion. 5 key battle tips are outlined. Kaminari Plain cautions against electric nets. Infinite Bridge promotes support and leader vehicles, crucial for King Ghidorah and Gigan. Net Labyrinth Mound stresses anti-air units against Rodan. Round Hill introduces King Ghidorah and Mothra, advocating for Mothra's swift defeat. And Kasumi Sea Gorge suggests using Godzilla to pit 2 Mechagodzillas against each other. Subsequent stages, including Yokohama, Kyoto, Hiroshima, and Tokyo, showcase iconic monsters like Space Godzilla, Destoroyah, and Red Godzilla, culminating in a final boss reveal. This page showcases the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, The Tower, a port of the popular PC title. It's advertised as being 80% complete and aiming for a February release, priced at 6,800 yen. The tagline encourages players to build the world's best 5-star tower in this simulation game. The page highlights that the Saturn version will include original elements not seen in the PC version, with improved controls for a more comfortable experience. It's suggested that even PC veterans will find themselves hooked again on the Saturn. A key feature is the choice of 4 distinct construction sites to build your tower. These include a business city, described as ideal for business with convenient transportation, a commercial city, suited for residential and large-scale commercial facilities, promising high population density, an international airport city, near an international airport, attracting overseas tourists and business users, especially hotel guests, and finally a resort city, a seaside resort area with a theme park and marina to draw in resort visitors. Screenshots throughout the page give a glimpse of the tower building interface and in-game visuals. This page continues to showcase the tower game, focusing on the joys and challenges of being a skyscraper owner. It highlights the satisfaction of watching your building grow taller and taller, shaping the city's skyline. A key feature is the freedom to choose tenants, ranging from hamburger shops and cafes to offices and even a Mexican restaurant, each influencing the building's atmosphere. You can even peek into the lives of the residents and hotel guests, observing their daily routines and even naming them. Unexpected events like VIP visits and even Santa Claus appearances add to the gameplay. As your tower grows, its grade improves, aiming for a 5-star rating, reflecting its increasing value and prestige. However, being a skyscraper owner isn't without its problems. You'll face tenant complaints, potential fires, and even terrorist threats, adding an element of management stress. The page emphasizes the financial aspect too, showing that money management and unexpected costs are crucial for success in this realistic building simulation. It reinforces the game as a deep simulation experience, moving beyond simple construction to encompass the complexities of tower ownership. This page is all about the upcoming SEGA Saturn title, The Horde, also known as Go For It, Chansey. It seems to be a real-time strategy game, where you play as Chansey, a young lord tasked with defending villages from a monstrous horde. The page highlights the game's blend of live action FMV cutscenes featuring real actors. With strategic gameplay, the reviewer mentions the game is already 100% complete, and jokes about enjoying a hot pot dish while thinking about the game. Connecting the horde theme to eating meat. Gameplay-wise, you're focused on expanding your village by cultivating land, gathering resources like wood and cattle, trading with other villages, and building defenses to prepare for the horde attacks. The gameplay is real-time, and you need to manage your village economy and defenses effectively. You'll be making decisions like digging pits and building barricades to protect your village. The direction from which the horde attacks is supposedly determined by the terrain. Random events like tax breaks or even giant meteor strikes are also mentioned as adding to the unpredictable nature of the game. It sounds like a mix of village building, resource management, and frantic real-time defense against waves of enemies. This page delves deeper into the horde, known as Go For It, Chansey. It's presented as a column focusing on different aspects of the game. One section talks about the secret of the cow, explaining how they enrich the land by eating grass and producing good milk. And another secret is that they are delicious to eat. Moving on to gameplay, it highlights the seasonal changes and the impending horde attacks that Chansey must defend against. You'll be building up your village, preparing defenses like pits and barricades in real time to face the monstrous horde. Strategic depth is emphasized, with terrain playing a role in horde attack directions. There are also random events, including tax collection at year's end, which is apparently harsh, but followed by the joy of shopping. The page also mentions special items like the Holy Sword Grimswacker, which is powerful, but has usage limitations. It needs to be used wisely. Screenshots show gameplay elements like resource management, village defense setups, and tax collection screens. Overall, the page reinforces the game's blend of strategy, resource management, and action against the comical horde threat. This page is all about the upcoming SEGA Saturn title, Des Masques. It's being pitched as a thrilling, mature game for those who love suspense and are fans of the atmosphere of Sid Meier's games. The game world is compared to Blade Runner, set in real time where your own face is morphed onto the criminal you're chasing, promising a deeply engaging and suspenseful experience. It's a massive game, spread across 3 creeds, which should excite adventure game fans. The game is apparently quite challenging to clear, so this article is specifically focusing on guiding players through Zone 1 from start to finish. They are confident it will be helpful for players stuck in Zone 1, but also suggest it's best to experience the game fresh upon release. The page then dives into a Zone 1 walkthrough, showing you how to start, escape the bus, click to the right, and eventually meet a mysterious woman. Further steps are shown, including escaping from a car, obtaining items, and reaching the casino, where another mysterious man appears. The walkthrough is visually led with screenshots and captions to help players navigate Zone 1 of Des Masques. This SEGA Saturn game coverage features Des Masques, including an interview with project leader Mr. Ishikawa Tetsuya. The interview discusses Electric Dream Industry, EDI, a company connected to Bandai Visual that evolved from a design school to create games and multimedia. They face challenges integrating cinematic quality and blending real-life footage with CG. Des Masques is positioned as a mature adventure game focused on suspense. The page also provides a walkthrough of Zone 1, guiding players through key scenarios, puzzle solving, and item acquisition. Finally, a Des Masques Earscoop story section announces a campaign with prizes like a trip to E3 in Hollywood. It highlights the official Des Masques Theater homepage, containing additional game information, a mini-adventure game, and story expansions. This page introduces Wizard's Harmony, a new title for the SEGA Saturn, and it's all about building strong bonds between characters in a Magic Academy setting. They're really pushing the idea that good relationships are essential, calling it wonderful to be friends. It seems your characters are in a magic circle, and how well they get along directly impacts their learning efficiency through something called synergy effect. This will affect how quickly they improve in skills like magic, fire, water, wind, and earth magic. There's also a system called Rufus Mediation, which appears to be about managing these relationships and helping characters understand each other, and it looks like this will affect how you proceed through the game. Screenshots show off a magic guidance examination screen with what looks like elemental affinities and character skill levels and character status tables, hinting at the RPG elements. It looks like clearing events will improve your standing or stock with characters. The game is listed as 100% complete, indicating it's nearing release. It's from Arc System Works and set to release on December 29th as a training simulation game. Wizards Harmony introduces graduation album events, presenting memorable game moments like marketplace memory photographs, a winter training camp, and a fireworks display, all experienced as snapshots. The game highlights Rufus mediation, emphasizing the importance of relationships alongside grades to achieve desired endings. Rufus and the girl's love affairs are a key element, suggesting romance. The game features 15 main characters and over 40 endings, promoting replayability. A compatibility chart reveals Rufus' relationship levels, liking, disliking, with other characters like Cynthia, Jeanette, and others, aiding strategic relationship building. The final screenshot shows Rufus reflecting on his 3 years in the game. This page highlights Coming Soon Soft and focuses on the upcoming SEGA Saturn title, FIDA, the Emblem of Justice remake. It's a simulation RPG that seems to be a remake of an earlier title. The page describes the game as having a deep story where characters you meet become important companions, experiencing both joy and sorrow with you, highlighting that the reasons and objectives are varied, but everyone is united in a single purpose. It also mentions that in FIDA, unlike typical RPGs, the characters you meet aren't always guaranteed to become allies, offering varied team compositions and strategic depth as a key appeal. The article then delves into the story's premise, focusing on an elite knight named Brian, who becomes a fugitive after an incident in Bathmore Village. We learn about Brian's escape plan and get introduced to some key characters like a Kameen, who appears to be a wolf-like warrior, Alunos, a middle-ranking commander, and Dora, described as an archer. The page also shows a completion rate of 90%, indicating the game is nearing completion and is expected to be released around the second week of February, priced at 6,300 yen. It's mentioned as a simulation RPG and for one player. The text suggests anticipation from fans for this remake, promising enhanced presentation and a deeper world. Coming Soon Soft previews FIDA, the Emblem of Justice remake, beginning with the main character's immediate escape and pursuit. Early gameplay showcases movement and mission objectives, emphasizing the urgency of the chase. Environmental hazards, like falling embers, are also present. The story then shifts to Barzil Village, introducing the young villager to game. Ellis, a magic user tied to the Liberation Army, is seen rescuing villagers and seeking the army's aid. Dante, a heavily armored Empire warrior, and the magic expert Elle join the party. The page hints at a pivotal encounter with Kume, a wise strategist, promising a significant turning point for the protagonists. This meeting will likely shape the direction of Brian and his companion's journey. This page introduces Pro Mahjong Kiwame S from Soon Soft, declaring it 100% complete and ready for release. It's highlighted as a professional mahjong game featuring 16 famous players from the industry. The page showcases 8 of these professionals, providing details like their names, titles such as Emperor of Queeding or Game Queen, their origins, playing styles described with terms like Pure Chan Taiyao, 3 colors, or Richi in early stage, and their preferred hand types. Each player also has a screenshot from the game featuring them, accompanied by a short comment, likely a quote or game tip. The game is priced at 5,800 yen for 1 to 4 players and is slated for release on January 12th. This page continues showcasing the professional mahjong players that will feature in Pro Mahjong Kiwame S. It reiterates that the game is designed for serious mahjong fans, emphasizing its realistic simulation and challenging AI opponents. The page highlights features like data analysis tools and in-game advice. We are introduced to 8 more professional players, each with their unique title reflecting their mahjong style, such as Tadai Style Mahjong or Persistent Grim Reaper. For each player, we get to know their origin, their playing style, described with phrases like defensive style or aggressive free-spirited style, and their preferred hand types. There are also screenshots from the game featuring each professional, along with a short comment, likely offering a glimpse into their personality or playing philosophy. These comments range from confident declarations like, "Let's call Richi," to more philosophical or even humorous remarks. These elements aim to bring the personalities of these real mahjong professionals into the game. This page is all about the SEGA Saturn game, Fist of the North Star. It announces the game's release, highlighting it as a must-have for fans, promising a faithful adaptation of the manga and anime with an original storyline and characters true to the source material. The page mentions that the game production was overseen by people who are big fans of the original work, ensuring an authentic experience. It boasts a 100% completion status and mentions a password feature, suggesting a complete story mode and potential replay value or secrets. We get introductions to familiar characters like Kenshiro, described as the successor of Hokuto Shinken seeking revenge, Lin, who was rescued by Kenshiro, Bat, Ken's loyal sidekick, and Tabaki, another Hokuto brother known for his gentle nature. Villains like Jagi and Zaki are also featured. Additionally, new characters are introduced, such as Hoshim and Guy. There are screenshots showing gameplay and character portraits. One section even details some of Hoshim's special moves with their ranks and attack types, like Shinfu Arareha, Anryu Hazanha, and Hakuro Binsho. The page seems to be getting fans excited about playing through a new chapter in the Fist of the North Star saga on the Sega Saturn. This page previews the Sega Saturn Fist of the North Star game, outlining the storyline in 4 chapters. Chapter 1 involves Rin's kidnapping and Kenshiro vs. Dark Hokuto. Chapter 2 features Kenshiro, Mamiya, and South Star Holy Fist users. Chapter 3 focuses on Falco and the Imperial Capital journey. Chapter 4 introduces Kaio, Hyu, Juke, and the secrets of Hokuto. The page also lists various Fist of the North Star games on platforms like PC 9801, Super Famicom, and Game Boy, with brief descriptions of their gameplay and genres, including action, RPG, and fighting. Furthermore, the page offers recommendations. Novice suggests starting with the comics. Advanced explores anime versions and Laserdisc games, highlighting a March 1986 screening and the rarity of TV anime LDS, with a release price mentioned for video content. This page introduces Albert Odyssey Gaiden, Legend of Eldian for the Sega Saturn, highlighting it as a nostalgic yet fresh RPG experience. The game is presented as a story-driven RPG, set in the same world as the Super Famicom Albert Odyssey, but with a significantly expanded game system. It boasts fully 3D polygon fields, moving away from the Super Famicom base to create beautiful and immersive environments. The page emphasizes the agility battle system, where character speed influences turn order and attack frequency. It showcases several characters, like the protagonist Harpy, who is raised by goblins, the heroine Ike, a street singer from Jigal, the dragon warrior Elder, and others like Carol and Leos, hinting at a diverse cast. The game promises rich events and scenarios divided into 2 main parts: Immortal Military Empire Arc and Eternal Queen Arc, promising a grand story with sub-scenarios and events like beauty contests. The reviewer seems impressed by the graphical enhancements and the engaging story elements. The game is announced as 70% complete, scheduled for release in March, and priced at 6,500 yen. It's a single-player RPG. This page is all about the upcoming Sega Saturn game, Siberia. It highlights the game's impressive CG graphics and the engaging characters, suggesting it offers a cinematic experience. The page discusses the trend of importing overseas games, using Tetris and SimCity as examples of popular titles. It touches upon the perception that foreign games are often more difficult than Japanese games, sometimes leading to game overs easily. The article dives into the game's prologue, describing a scenario where the player character starts on an enemy base and is confronted by a boss-like figure. It mentions a shooting sequence early in the game and recommends that players who are not confident in their shooting skills should choose the easy difficulty setting. Point 1 focuses on the shooting mechanics, describing enemies attacking from all directions and advising players to be calm and use pauses effectively during gameplay. Point 2 points out that the adventure sections are in real time, warning players that enemies can suddenly appear and cause game overs. The page indicates that Siberia was 80% complete at the time of writing, and it was scheduled for release on January 26, 1996, priced at 6,800 yen. It's an action-adventure game developed by Interplay/EAV for a single player. Blackfire, a Sega Saturn title from Virgin Interactive, promises an intense 3D flight simulation shooter. Players pilot an A-210 Blackfire helicopter, battling a terrorist group in challenging missions. The game emphasizes realistic controls, particularly through analog stick support for altitude, weapons, and views. Missions involve strategic weapon selection and attack styles, supported by mission briefings and real-time intel. Players will encounter diverse mission types, including destroy missions, escort missions, rules of engagement, and stealth operations, silent fall, requiring low-altitude approaches and laser-guided missiles. The game emphasizes strategic gameplay, utilizing radar and targeting weak points to succeed against a vast number of enemies. This page is all about the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, The Gen War. It's described as a 3D action shooting game where you play as a pilot in a hypersuit fighting against the Gen alien race who are trying to control humanity. The page highlights the game's story, which is set in the future where Earth is caught in an intergalactic war. Humans have adopted technology from the Gen to fight back, but the Gen are now using that technology to enslave humanity. As part of the Da Vinci spaceship crew, you must fight the Gen and save mankind. Screenshots showcase the gameplay, featuring a first-person perspective inside a cockpit, battling robotic enemies with various weapons like lasers and missiles. The game emphasizes item collection for power-ups and strategic combat, encouraging players to find enemy weak points. There's also an interview with voice actress Tomoko Inoue, who voices the character Gina from the Da Vinci crew. She talks about her experience recording lines for the game, praising the visuals and enjoying the role. She mentions the game's appeal to both Western and anime fans. She describes Gina as a cool and collected woman who is loyal to her commander and guides the player. Inoue also mentions that the game's visuals are realistic and cool and encourages players to enjoy the game. Finally, there's a section advertising a giveaway of 5 signed cards by Tomoko Inoue, promoting the game further. This page showcases the game Creature Shock, describing it as a unique mix of 3D dungeon exploration and shooting. It's presented as a game where you'll be exploring 3D dungeons and fighting bizarre creatures and mechs. The page highlights the game's story, set in 2123, where humans are seeking new lands after population increase. They're searching for 3 planets, including Azteca, Mars, and Amazon. The storyline involves a distress signal from the Amazon spaceship, which seems to be related to mysterious creatures. The page details the heads-up display, HUD, explaining its different elements.
Creature energy, which shows enemy health, weapon and shield energy indicating usage, player energy for your health, smart bomb availability, and a compass for navigation. It emphasizes using the shot and shield effectively in gameplay. There's a section discussing choices in dungeons affecting your fate, with branching paths and difficulty changes. It mentions item boxes that can boost weapon and shield power, and recommends strategic choices and using item boxes wisely, especially considering boss encounters. Another section focuses on combat strategy, urging players to aim for enemy weaknesses, especially against bosses. It suggests using smart bombs to target weak points and exploiting enemy patterns, highlighting the importance of shield usage in tough situations. Screenshots illustrate the gameplay, showcasing dungeon environments, enemy encounters, and the HUD in action. 4 Pillars of Destiny Pictograph is SEGA Saturn software offering lifelong fortune-telling services. Leveraging the 4 Pillars of Destiny method, based on birth date and time, it analyzes personality and compatibility using Pictograph. The software boasts high accuracy, predicting future events and inner selves. Features include personal diagnosis and group diagnosis, with options for basic personality assessment categorized into 8 genres represented by cards and lucky colors. Compatibility checks consider star signs, blood type, and personality. Users can also assess remaining luck in areas like food and health, plus daily fortune predictions based on biorhythms. It includes features like compatibility checks, remaining luck assessments, and daily fortune predictions. Screenshots showcase an intuitive interface, and users can save group data for up to 1,000 people. Published by Datum Polystar and developed by Success and Ansu Soft, it was priced at 5,800 yen and released on January 26th. This page is a promotional piece for the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, Tenchi Muyo, Ryuki Onsen Waku Waku Tabiji, which translates to Tenchi Muyo, Enchanting Hot Springs, a journey through steamy waters. This new adventure simulation game for Saturn features an original story where you travel to hot springs with beautiful girls. The game boasts an original story and utilizes a simple 3-command system alongside a parental system. It's designed with original characters and multi-story scenarios for replayability. It's packed with hot spring travel elements and fan-favorite content,
promising a delightful experience. The page highlights that the opening animation is well done, and showcases screenshots from the first half of the story, hinting at the plot, which involves a trip to a hot spring that goes awry. It seems like the characters are heading to a hot spring planet, but things don't go as planned, leading to comedic mishaps and adventures. The game is advertised as being 90% complete, scheduled for release in late January 1996, and priced at 8,900 yen. It's noted as an adventure simulation game for audiences aged 18 and up. The game seems to emphasize high-quality visuals and animation. This page is all about Pachinko Collection for the Sega Saturn, boasting a 95% completion rate and aiming for release on January 19th. It's highlighted as a collection of 6 real Pachinko machines, perfect for Pachinko fans who want to master the game. The page details different modes beyond the standard gameplay, including a strategy mode for analyzing machine performance and a Nifty mode, which sounds like it uses the Nifty Serve online service for some kind of event or ranking. They mention you can play for 12 hours and compete on payout rates in this Nifty mode. They're showcasing 6 featured Pachinko machines, each with unique characteristics. These are Alshid, known for its high probability and chain bonuses; Arrangement, described as a top-class Pachinko machine; Excite, with its sweet payout ratio; Sunrise, featuring strong crane-type gameplay; Dance Dance 2, which includes a mini-game with Remichan from Dance Dance 2, and Crossing Big Solader 2, a high-spec machine with adjustable settings. The page emphasizes that if you're into Pachinko, you should check this game out to understand the machines. It's mentioned that the game includes 16 rounds. This page is focused on Return to Zork for the Sega Saturn, showcasing it as a nostalgic yet brand new entry in the Zork series, being the 10th game in the franchise. It's highlighted as a 32-bit adventure game, a big step up from the text-based original Zork, now boasting graphics and sound. The game is stated to be 90% complete, and is aiming for a February 2nd release, priced at 5,800 yen, with an estimated playtime of 100 to 150 hours. The preview emphasizes that the story begins with a small mailbox, and quickly moves into the gameplay mechanics, focusing on how important it is to think carefully about item usage. It uses an example of picking up a stone and needing to decide whether to throw it or not, showing that choices matter. Dialogue is also a key aspect, stressing that players need to pay attention to conversations and consider the tone of their responses, as choices will have consequences. There's even a section warning about the game world having rules and consequences similar to the real world, using an example of using a knife and getting arrested by the police, encouraging thoughtful decision-making. Finally, the page points out some key gameplay elements, like maps, cameras for taking photos, and crucial items such as an orb and a tape recorder, hinting at the kind of adventure players can expect. This page introduces Matsukata Hiroki's World Fishing for the Sega Saturn, highlighting the bass fishing mode. It presents itself as a realistic fishing simulator, where players can enjoy both trolling and bass fishing. The game boasts a 95% completion status, and emphasizes its realistic elements, alongside fun and engaging gameplay. It even features advice from the real-life fisherman Hiroki Matsukata. The article dives into the game screen, pointing out 9 key information areas. These include the current time and weather, tackle type, depth, line length, lure type, radar indicating fish position, rod status, drag setting, and a crucial gauge displaying the angler's and fish's power balance, which is key to successfully reeling in your catch. The page then walks through the gameplay flow, starting with lure selection, moving on to choosing a fishing spot based on fish presence, casting, and finally, the battle to reel in the fish. It explains that understanding the on-screen information and mastering the power balance is essential to becoming a skilled virtual fisherman. This page is all about the game Mahjong Giant Era Kogyaru After School Edition for Sega Saturn, focusing on the naughty side of Mahjong. It's described as a game where, if you win at Mahjong against 4 girls, you get to see them undress. Apparently, this is a powered-up version of another game called Mahjong Kaigetsu Monogatari. The page highlights the Polygon Girls, suggesting 3D models are used for the characters. It mentions evolved game systems and shows screenshots of the game interface, implying improved gameplay or features. The article then introduces the 4 female characters you can play against. They are Mayu Miyamako, a bubbly girl with dyed hair, described as a prolas type, wanting to play adult mahjong. Kawayu,
A cute girl who always carries a hot drink and is a bit of a crybaby. Hazuki Rumi. A girl with a short haircut, sporty and lively. Kinoshita Sayaka. Described as a prezzer type, someone who takes the lead, and very cute with glasses. Finally, there's a section about a giveaway, where you can win signed panties and autographed color paper from the girls in the game. They mention they have collected a lot of panty shots during development, and are giving away these items as prizes.
This page is a SEGA Saturn Soft Complete Guide. It looks like an overview for players who might need help with their games. The page features a big image of a Gundam-style robot, which is likely related to the Mobile Suit Gundam game listed. At the bottom of the page, it lists a few games with page numbers. These include Clockwork Knight 2, Mobile Suit Gundam, Darius Gaiden, Virtua Cop, and Toshin Denesse. The text at the bottom explains,
"This is a guide for players who have bought SEGA Saturn games and are stuck, promising to provide useful information."
This page focuses on Clockwork Knight, specifically the Pepperushow's Lucky Bag version. The article highlights that Ginger is now the main character. It explains how to access different stage selections, including the undervolume and upper volume versions, mentioning that the undervolume is designed for single players, while the upper volume offers more of a challenge. It also reveals the secret command to access the undervolume mode, which involves inputting LRLR and select on a specific screen to reveal a box. The page then details hidden minigames within Clockwork Knight's Lucky Bag. These minigames include Koto Koto Paro Paro, where you control Paro Paro and race for 3 laps. Doka Doka Taihu, a shooting game where you defeat 100 enemies to fight a boss, being careful of ink attacks. Hara Hara Jump, a jumping challenge to reach the goal while avoiding legs. And Fua Fua Jump, another jumping game where you dodge forks to reach a goal dash. The page provides control hints for each minigame.
Finally, the article mentions the Boss on Parade mode, where players can practice against bosses. It gives the button input XX5Y, X7Z, X5 to access this mode from the Boss on Parade title screen. The page uses screenshots of the game's stage select menus, minigame gameplay, and boss battles to illustrate these features. This guide provides gameplay tips for the Mobile Suit Gundam Saturn game, aiming to help players experience the anime's impactful moments. It focuses on 3 key strategies. First, manage your shield wisely, as it depletes and needs time to recharge. Second, utilize support units and supply items strategically. The game features many enemies, making support units like gun cannon and core booster essential for lowering enemy defense and damaging bosses. Resupply items are also vital for energy. Third, understand lock-on attacks. Though powerful, they take time and leave you vulnerable. Beam rifles are effective for lock-on, while sabers are not. The guide includes screenshots illustrating shield use, support unit selection, and lock-on attacks, all geared towards enhancing player skill and strategic gameplay. This page is a boss guide for the SEGA Saturn game Mobile Suit Gundam. It gives 1-point advice for surviving all stages of boss battles, explaining that while there are common strategies for progressing through stages, boss fights are unique and require specific tactics. The guide mentions the game offers features like save functions, and continues, encouraging players to persevere even on harder difficulties where hidden secrets might be found. Stage 1 focuses on the battle against Char's Zaku. It highlights Char as Gundam's rival, and describes the Zaku's attack patterns, which are mainly machine gun fire from above and high-speed body blows. The advice is to position Gundam in the center of the screen and use the shield to deflect machine gun fire, then approach from below and attack with a saber. Stage 2 also features a fight against Char's Zaku in a large atmospheric entry scenario. This time the guide emphasizes constantly locking onto the Zaku and utilizing beam rifle attacks to inflict damage effectively while moving around the screen. It advises using the lock-on to keep track of the Zaku and to always be ready to attack with the rifle rather than relying on the saber in this encounter. The page uses gameplay screenshots to illustrate the battle scenarios and positioning strategies being described. Stage 3 of the Mobile Suit Gundam Boss Guide features Char's dedicated Zaku in a ground battle. The guide emphasizes adapting to ground combat, using jump maneuvers for aerial attacks. Stage 4 pits players against Goof, Rambo Ral boarding. Golf uses a heat rod, machine gun, and sword. The recommended strategy is ranged beam rifle attacks, jumping attacks for diagonal strikes, and shielding followed by beam saber counterattacks in close combat. Stage 5 presents the Triple Dom. This battle against Gaia, Ortega, and Mash requires predicting their coordinated rushes, using jump attacks to evade, and utilizing lock-on attacks when grouped. The guide advises charging the lock-on gauge, shielding, and targeting separated DOMs to defeat them individually. This page continues the Gundam Operation Manual Boss Guide, moving on to Stage 6, which is set underwater against the mobile armor Grablo. The guide points out, Grablo's main weapon is missiles, fired horizontally and vertically. It advises using the shield effectively, especially against the horizontal missiles, and to time your jumps to dodge the vertical ones. It mentions that while underwater movement is slow, Grablo's movements are surprisingly quick, so caution is needed. Stage 7 is titled Jaburo Decisive Battle, and features Char's dedicated Zagok. The guide notes this fight is a rematch with Char, emphasizing Zagok's speed and its claw attacks from close range or from above. It recommends using beam rifle fire from the ground initially. When Zagok jumps in, you should also jump and evade, aiming to close in with the beam saber for a powerful counterattack. This is described as a safe and high-damage strategy. Finally, Stage 8 is Conscon Assault against the Rickdom Squad. This stage features multiple Rickdoms appearing from the back of the screen. The guide highlights that unlike Zaku, Rickdoms can't be defeated by a single saber strike, so lock-on attacks are essential. It suggests focusing your attacks on one Dom at a time, using lock-on attacks and beam saber strikes after they are weakened to efficiently clear the squad. The guide also advises to constantly move to avoid being surrounded and overwhelmed. Stage 9 challenges you against Big Zam. Avoid beam rifles, utilize cover, and prioritize accurate shots after evading attacks with your shield and dash. Support from the Slegger unit is key. Stage 10 features the Gaion and Char's Zagok. The Gaion fight requires jumping beam saber attacks due to its high specs. Against Zagok, use beam rifles initially, switching to beam saber attacks when it jumps, emphasizing close-range combat with jumping and evading. Stage 11, Light and Space, presents the Elmeth and Char's Gelgoog. Destroy Elmeth's bits with lock-on attacks, then finish Elmeth off with the saber. For Char's Gelgoog, use beam rifles at a distance due to its speed, mixing in jump slashes and angled attacks. This page details Stage 12. Decisive Battle. Abawa Quay. From what seems to be a Gundam game, likely for the SEGA Saturn. This stage marks the final battle against Zesson, with a massive number of mobile suits and support crafts appearing. The strategy highlighted is to effectively use lock-on and beam saber attacks. The page then specifically discusses the fight against the Xiong in vs. Xiong, Amuro and Char's last battle. The Xiong is described as incredibly fast and powerful. The recommended tactic is to first take out its arms by destroying the bits, then dodge incoming beams, and finally close in for the kill using beam saber attacks. The text hints at a dramatic conclusion to this battle. Next, the large space fortress Dross appears. Section indicates that in the latter half of the stage, players will encounter the massive space fortress Dross. It suggests utilizing beam guns and lock-on attacks to deal with this new threat. Finally, the last shooting section touches on the overall quality of the game as a character game. The reviewer notes a clear dedication from the developers to capture the essence of Gundam, expressing that the Gundam spirit is well conveyed. It even refers to the iconic last shooting scene, highlighting the game's faithfulness to the source material and the emotional impact it aims to deliver. Darius Gaiden on Saturn is a side-scrolling shooter requiring strategic mastery. The game uses the Darius outward transmission system, emphasizing power-up collection for success. Red shot upgrades shot power. Green bombs offer area-clearing attacks. Blue arms provide various armaments. Gold and silver provide score bonuses. Violet grants temporary invincibility and extend boosts lives. Gameplay involves 8-way joystick and shot/bomb buttons. Bombs damage enemies and absorb enemy fire, offering strategic advantages. A key mechanic is medium boss catching, allowing you to capture specific mid-bosses during select zones G, H, I, J, M, X, Z by targeting the CB part, earning you an ally and strategic support. This is best achieved by carefully managing bomb usage. Mastering these mechanics is crucial, especially in later stages and when facing the final boss. Darius Gaiden features a unique zone selection system with branching paths, AV,
leading to multi-endings. Players cannot experience all 28 zones in a single playthrough, encouraging replayability. The guide then provides a strategy for the Zone Z's final boss, Great Thing MK.2, intended for normal difficulty with rapid-fire controllers. The boss is tough and requires a clearing strategy. Continuous fire is ineffective. Instead, target the Coco, weak point. Destroy the laser cannons, then concentrate fire on the Coco during vulnerable phases, using search lasers. During the search laser attack, a well-timed bomb is recommended for maximum damage. This guide reviews boss strategies for 2 games, Darius Gaiden and Vermilion Coronatus.
In Darius Gaiden, the Zone Z final boss, Risk Storage, a pufferfish, is surprisingly easy. Focus fire on its Coco weak point and destroy laser cannons first. Dodge slow-moving bullets and predict tail attacks. Even a weak laser can damage the energy core. And bombs are recommended during the search laser attack. For Vermilion Coronatus, Zone Z's, the guide covers a challenging boss of Darius Gaiden lineage. This boss demands careful play. Initially, it launches homing enemies while attacking from below. Attack near the face or from above to avoid reflective lasers and the 1-degree blind spots. The boss uses mouth lasers and body slams. Focus fire on the face in the Tatsunotoshi Go form and use bombs if needed. Bombs are also effective against the rear after positioning. The next page continues with boss strategies, this time focusing on 2 bosses named Hysteric Empress and Odious Trident. Hysteric Empress is described as a giant crab boss in Zone X of Darius Gaiden. The strategy highlights its Coco weak point, which is its eye. It recommends focusing fire on the eye, especially when it's in the center of the screen and unleashing bubbles. The guide warns about laser cannons and recommends destroying them first, then dodging slow bullets and tail attacks. Bombs are suggested for use during its search laser attack and when it's spitting bubbles, as a single shot might not break the bubbles. Odious Trident is the Zone Sklee boss from Darius Gaiden. Described as being vastly different from the previous boss and located in an aquatic zone.
The strategy focuses on its attack pattern after it appears, where it vanishes to the left side of the screen and then comes in close. The guide advises staying on the lower part of the screen and dodging its large, sweeping laser attack, noting its damage range is wide. It also mentions a man-boo-type attack pattern, suggesting further strategy will be needed later. The weak point is described as the face or front, and the guide suggests aiming for the eye and taking advantage of the 2-way laser attack opening. It also notes that during rush attacks, focusing fire on the eye is critical for maximum damage. This guide details strategies for 2 Darius Gaiden bosses, Curious Chandelier, Zone Z, and Stormcauser, Zone U. Curious Chandelier is a jellyfish-like boss. Its attacks initially have safe spots, but later attacks are harder to avoid. Focus fire on the eye, its weak point. Be aware of the sweeping laser attack from the eye after taking damage. Its direction is determined by the eye's screen position. Stormcauser, a tougher foe, relies on speed and attacks from all sides. Dodge homing shots and target the central core. Utilize calmer moments to attack the top and bottom mouths. Counter the whirlwind attack by firing straight ahead to the right. A risky close-range strategy to avoid the wind is possible, but dangerous. Clearing this boss without continues or bombs is extremely challenging. This page reveals secret commands for Virtua Cop on SEGA Saturn. To access Ranking Mode and Option Plus Mode, input up, down, left, right during the SEGA and AM2 logos, followed by the right button. To activate Mirror Mode on the stage select screen, press shot, reload, shot, 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 reload, 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 shot, shot, then start. Finally, to extend name entry time, rapidly tap the BS button 10 times during name entry. These tricks unlock hidden modes and features, offering new ways to experience the game and enhancing gameplay for both new and experienced players. Satamaga and AM2 are hosting a Virtua Cop ranking attack competition for the best Japanese players. The contest utilizes the Saturn version and challenges players to achieve the highest score in ranking mode. Entrants must record their gameplay on videotape from start to ranking display. Key strategies for high scores include strategic life-up item usage and mastering stage layouts. Advice from AM2 developers highlights Bocce Gun King style, emphasizing precise aiming and minimal reloading, and mouse skill for accuracy and speed. The competition includes both normal and mirror modes.
The application deadline is January 26th, with game options set to default GunCon settings. Prizes, versus CP caps, will be awarded to the top 3 players. Winners will be featured in a future AM2 Research Corner publication.
This page introduces virtual-like easy commands for the game Ithia. The article mentions that Ithia can be played with a Virtua Fighter 2 style feel, thanks to these simplified command inputs. It states that even those not good at command inputs can now easily execute special moves. The page then provides command lists for 4 characters: Eiji, Rengar, Kane, and Sophia. For each character, it lists a selection of their moves and shows both the normal command and the simplified Virtua type command. For example, Eiji's Hyakyaku Reshuzan, 100 Demon Knight Parade // has a complex directional input and button combination in the normal command, but it's simplified to just +A+B in the Virtua type command. This pattern of simplification is shown across various moves for all 4 characters, making special moves more accessible by reducing complex inputs. This page continues the discussion of Virtua commands and explains how these simplified inputs in Ithia relate to moves from Virtua Fighter 2 and Battle Arena to Shindens. The page breaks down command inputs in different directional scenarios, using screenshots to compare moves from Virtua Fighter 2 and Battle Arena to Shindens. For example, it looks at forward, backward, and back-forward directional inputs, showing how similar moves are executed in these 2 classic fighting games. Below this, the page provides command lists for 4 more characters from Ithia: Duke, Mondo, Jorha, and Ellis. Similar to the previous page, each character has a table showing both normal commands and simplified Virtua type commands for their special moves. This demonstrates again how Ithia uses these simplified inputs to make special moves easier to perform, particularly for players familiar with Virtua Fighter style controls. The page essentially acts as a guide to help players transition to Ithia's control system by highlighting these simplified command options and relating them to popular fighting game mechanics. The next page presents Sakura Wars Setting Material Publicly Available Part 2. It's a continuation from the previous issue, showing character expressions for Iris, Lee, Kuran, and Kana Kirishima, bringing the total character introductions to 7, including Ayame Fujieda. They mention they are including more information to satisfy readers who felt there wasn't enough previously. The text describes the game as a dramatic adventure, with simulation and musical elements, emphasizing the beautiful visuals and encouraging players to look forward to it. Below this is an interview section titled Production Producer Bob's Game Production Stories Backside Slashing. The interview is with Robert M. Ten Bosch, known as Bob, a producer at Red Company. Bob discusses his background, mentioning he's been in the industry for about 6 years, working in various departments before becoming a game producer at Red Company. He talks about managing schedules, working with clients, and incorporating client requests like animations into games. Bob describes Red Company as a fun and opinion-sharing environment, emphasizing teamwork and collaboration, even with Hiroi Oji, the creator of Sakura Wars. He mentions that Red Company values ideas and input from everyone. Bob also talks about his current work as a title producer, aiming to create games that staff can proudly call interesting. He concludes by thanking readers and expressing his commitment to meeting expectations. This page presents a lighthearted feature called A BB-Style Flame Showdown, the Penalty Game Fist Special, which seems to be a recurring column. It shows a comedic battle between 2 personalities, Abe Keisuke and Chiba-chan, in a rock-paper-scissors style challenge that escalates through several rounds, labeled as Fourth Battle, Third Battle, and Battle Over. It appears to be a humorous take on editorial challenges and office antics. There's a segment highlighting Baseball Fist Game, suggesting another type of challenge or game being played. The overall tone is playful, with cartoonish illustrations and speech bubbles emphasizing the comical nature of the competition and penalties involved. Below this, there's a section called Okumura's Sales Diary, which gives a glimpse into the daily life of someone named Okumura working at a company, presumably in the game industry. It describes a typical workday, mentioning long hours, meetings, and the constant cycle of planning and development, highlighting the demanding but rewarding nature of the job. Lastly, there's a prize announcement for autographed paperback books by author Maisaka Ku, related to the Princess Minerva fantasy series. Readers are invited to apply for a chance to win these signed books. The application details and deadline are provided for those interested in entering the draw. This page is all about the highly anticipated SEGA Saturn game, Cybertroopers Virtual On, as part of the AM3 Research Rush feature. It's showcasing the latest CG of the 8 main Virtuoids and includes an interview with Katoki Hajime, the mechanical designer. The page introduces each of the 8 Virtuoids with their names: Temjin, Phaeon, Dulcus, Belgdor, Viper 2, Bulbasbo, AFIRMD, and Raiden. It gives brief descriptions for each, highlighting design aspects and gameplay styles. For example, Temjin is described as a standard blue mecha, good for both offense and defense, while Phaeon is noted for its cute pink and white color scheme and its agility. Dulcus is a heavy type with hammer-like weapons. Belgdor excels at long-range shooting. Viper 2 is designed for high mobility requiring advanced techniques. Bulbasbo is described as fortress-like. AFIRMD is good for white armor combat focusing on beam tonfas, and Raiden is a heavy assault type known for powerful laser cannons. There's also a section about the arcade cabinet specifications, mentioning a large 29-inch monitor displaying the intense Virtuoid battles, and a live monitor to show gameplay to spectators. The game uses 2 sticks for control, aiming to give players the feeling of piloting a Virtuoid like in anime. It's stated that the game is planned for release in January and is eagerly awaited. The reviewer mentions they included backpack illustrations of Temjin instead of Phaeon due to material availability, and emphasizes that Virtual Play-On will let players experience anime-like action. This page continues with the interview with Katoki Hajime, the mechanical designer for Virtual On, and introduces the interviewers as Goju Kazutaro from AM3 Research Planning and Ozaki Hiromu from AM3 Research Design. The interview delves into the origins of the Virtual Inoroid names. Katoki explains that during location testing, names like Temjin, Raiden, and Belgdor came up, and they wondered about their origins. He mentions that Temjin's name has a Genghis Khan vibe, while Raiden is a common anime name. They explored Asian-sounding names, acknowledging that using strictly Asian names might be too difficult. They considered names that weren't too common or complicated. The discussion touches upon the robot designs. Katoki mentions initially considering German-style robot names, but shifted towards Asian-inspired names to create a lighter, more refreshing feel. They also talk about the title Virtual On. Ozaki recalls suggesting Virtual On strongly even amidst other suggestions, and Katoki remembers this clearly. Katoki thought Virtual On was initially a bit too long, and considered alternatives like Varcharon or Varkarafors, but ultimately Virtual On stuck. He recalls strongly pushing for the Virtual On title in the end. The interview concludes with Katoki emphasizing that while Virtuoids might appear strong visually, their true strength depends on the player's skill. He hopes players will enjoy mastering the game and its controls. The interview also mentions that the game aims to portray robots with emotion and care, hoping players will use them respectfully. This page details a report from a Sega private show showcasing their latest arcade games. It highlights the popularity of Manx TT Superbike, noting its large screen and immersive speed, creating queues for players. Pinball was also showcased, specifically a single Apollo 13-themed pinball machine, which drew attention for its movie theme and enduring appeal. Sega also presented Prologue 21, a karaoke system emphasizing duet functionality and party enjoyment. Demonstrations were given to showcase its features. Fighting Vipers, developed by AM2, was a major draw, already proving successful in arcades with numerous cabinets set up for head-to-head play. The large Megalo City cabinets were present, emphasizing the game's power. Varcharon, which is likely referring to Virtual On as mentioned previously, also garnered positive attention. Players praised the game's graphics and controls. The report mentions the possibility of using a live monitor setup for this game. Finally, the page mentions other games on display, including CG bar repairing games, metal games, and poster roulette. A prize machine featuring anime tines like Saint Tail and Virtual Bart Fighter was also present, utilizing touchscreen technology. Sega is expanding the Sega STV arcade board by integrating CD-ROM technology. Sports Fishing 2 is the first game to utilize this, opening the door to larger games with MPEG video capabilities. Interviews with Sega's AM4 and AM1 departments highlight the changes. AM4 focuses on technical aspects, explaining the CD-ROM STV is largely the same as the cartridge version, but able to handle much larger games. AM1 discusses the cost advantages of CD-ROM and compares the development to the Model 2 system, anticipating a bigger STV presence in 1996. SEGA is actively engaging with third-party developers for both STV and Saturn, with games like Fighting Vipers 2, Final Arch, and a baseball game in development. The overall outlook is positive for STV, due to its CD-ROM capabilities and its potential crossover with the Saturn console.
This page is a special New Year feature, a luxurious interview about Sega Sonic, featuring a conversation between Yu Suzuki from AM2 and Yuji Naka and Naoto Oshima. The interview starts with the first impressions of Sega Sonic. It mentions that the Sonic fighting game was originally planned about a year prior. Naoto Oshima, who is the director, talks about character design and how Sonic is a different kind of action game character. Yu Suzuki from AM2 mentions that they are working on Virtua Fighter 3 and are considering using the same 3D polygon technology for Sonic characters. Yuji Naka, the CS producer, talks about his involvement with the Sonic series, mentioning Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, and 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. He also mentions working on titles like Phantasy Star and Tokimeki Memorial, and notes that he felt the appeal of Tokimeki Memorial on PlayStation. He is currently working on new Sonic titles for the Sega Saturn. The interview highlights the transition of Sonic into a 3D fighting game, and the thoughts of key Sega developers on this new direction for the franchise, touching on aspects of character design, technology, and future game development. This page continues the interview with the Sega team discussing Sonic's direction. They talk about the technical aspects of Sonic's animation, mentioning they were using sprites and aiming for around 256 animation patterns. Okanshima explains the challenge of creating a simple, yet appealing Sonic design. Suzuki from AM2 expressed interest in a Sonic fighting game, thinking it could be very entertaining. Naka also chimes in, wanting to make good fighting games and explore new ideas beyond typical fighting game conventions. The page then spotlights Naoto Oshima, the Sega CS designer, giving a brief bio and highlighting his key roles in iconic games like Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 3D Blasts, and Nights into Dreams. It mentions he's currently working with Naka on their latest project.
Down at the bottom, there's a section titled Oshima Directors Direct Brush. Will the appearance characters be decided soon? Showing Oshima sketching and brainstorming character ideas. Speech bubbles reveal considerations for characters like Sonic, Tails, Drive Eggman, Knuckles, Metal Sonic, Amy, Charmy, Vector, and Espio. They are even thinking about 2P colors, or alternate color schemes for characters, and discussing character variations. The page ends with a question about Espio possibly making a cameo in Chaotix, showcasing the game's box art featuring Knuckles' Chaotix. This page continues the Sega Sonic discussion and dives into what the team hopes to achieve next year. Oshima from AM2 wants to create original 1- or 2-player games. Suzuki emphasizes the importance of graphics, while Naka wants to release games under the Sonic Team banner and create titles that appeal to girls too. They are aiming to surprise everyone with Sonic in '96, considering action games and pinball ideas, and want to bring a hand-drawn feel to the characters. The page also asks if winning poses will have voices in the upcoming fighting games, like Sonic Fighters. They are debating whether to use English or Japanese voice acting, focusing on matching Sonic's image. There are images showcasing potential winning poses for Sonic and Tails in a fighting game setting. They also mention that character modeling is progressing from Model 1 to Model 2. Finally, the page teases VF3, Virtua Fighter 3, and hints at the Sonic team's new project being 30% complete and promising to be even better. Suzuki and Oshima express their confidence about Sega and Sega Saturn's '96 lineup. The team, consisting of AM and CS creators, is working together, and the next issue will reveal even more about AM2's latest projects. This article explores the mysteries and hidden secrets of Virtua Fighter 3, building upon the lore established in Virtua Fighter 2. It focuses on the rumored hidden ending movie in the Saturn version of Virtua Fighter 3, and whether it connects to VF2's Dural and the ending. The article questions character relationships, specifically how Jackie and Sarah and Lau and Pai's stories will unfold. It teases a new female character, distinct from Akira, potentially representing a new type of Japanese beauty. The article reveals storyboards for the Saturn version's ending movie, hinting at secrets and character developments for Virtua Fighter 3
that were hidden within. The article includes character sketches like Dural from VF2 and a rough sketch of the new female character, along with excerpts from the storyboards. It promises reveals of hidden information related to VF3's character narratives. This page introduces the CG staff, responsible for creating the Virtua Fighter 3 Centigrams portrait series, highlighting the Lion Rafale edition. Interviews with key developers like design chief Izaki Kazuhiro, modeling artist Kojima Mika, CG retoucher Manabe Ringo, and setting artist Nakatani Manabu provide a look into the development process. They discuss the creation of CG portraits, focusing on Lion's character and design choices, including his modeling, clothing, and overall artistic direction. The team shares insights on the progress of portraits for Lion and Jeffrey, and their techniques. Images showcasing the Virtua Fighter CG portrait series, Lion Rafale Box, and Virtua Fighter 3 gameplay are featured,
announcing the series release on January 26th.
This page from AM2 Research Institute dives into Virtua Surfer and Fighting Vipers 2. There's a report on the massive crowds at the Virtua Surfer launch event, held in Akihabara on December 1st. Apparently, it was so packed with over 600 people that it caused quite a scene, even attracting the attention of the police. Moving on, there's information about AM2's Sega Jack, theme park, and arcade machines, mentioning Daytona USA and Galaxy Force. They talk about arcade game collecting, and how some can be quite expensive. There's a section about character popularity, mentioning that while both Posh Rosso and Honey from Fighting Vipers are popular, Honey seems to be the most favored. The developers mention that they are working hard on balancing the characters.
This page also highlights special presents.
Readers can win Fighting Vipers t-shirts, and there are also Virtua Fighter 2 felt key holders and Fighting Vipers 2 key holders up for grabs as prizes. Finally, there's a comment section talking about the packaging design for a Saturn Maga cover, mentioning the popularity of Akira from Virtua Fighter, and hinting at a possible design change for Virtua Fighter 2 packaging. This page presents the SEGA Saturn soft review section, diving into 2 game reviews this time.
First up is Mobile Suit Gundam, which is given a solid overall score.
Reviewers from all groups seem to appreciate it, noting its nostalgic appeal and deep gameplay. The Lady Users group found the controls a little complex, but enjoyed the game. The Game Mania group highlights the impressive 3D shooting and strategic elements. The guest game writers were impressed by the dramatic cutscenes and the overall quality, especially for Gundam fans. The second game under the spotlight is Godzilla Island Earthquake Great War.
This one also receives decent scores.
The Lady Users group found it a bit slow-paced but engaging, especially for Godzilla fans. The Game Mania group mentions the game's unique character focus and satisfying gameplay, while acknowledging it might be too niche. The guest game writers appreciated the simulation aspect and the classic Godzilla movie feel, though they point out the controls might be a bit challenging. Both games are reviewed by 3 groups: Lady Users Group, Game Mania Group, and guest game writers, each providing their perspectives and scores. The page showcases screenshots from both games and includes details like release dates, prices, and genres. It seems like both titles are considered enjoyable, especially for fans of their respective franchises.
This page continues the Sega Saturn soft review section with 4 more game reviews.
First up is Darkfire, a shooting game. The Lady Users thought it was too difficult for beginners, mentioning too many enemies and complex controls, giving it a score of 5. The High Rollers group, on the other hand, enjoyed the exhilarating missile shooting action of this flight simulator, awarding it an 8. Finally, the guest writers praised the analog stick controls, but felt the game was too easy overall, and gave it a 5.
Next is Devil Summoner.
The Lady Users, who are Megaton fans, really liked it, giving it an 8. The High Rollers were impressed by its serious RPG elements, and gave it a 9. The guest writers found it beginner-friendly for Megaton enthusiasts, awarding it a 7. Then we have Sega Rally Championship. The Lady Users enjoyed its arcade-like feel and easy controls, scoring it an 8. The High Rollers loved the drifting and realistic driving experience, giving it a perfect 10. The guest writers also awarded it a perfect 10, praising its high quality and arcade-perfect port. Lastly, Daytona USA is reviewed. The High Rollers group expressed that while it's not quite as good as the arcade version, it's still a very satisfying port, awarding it a 10. The guest writers also gave it a 10, highlighting it as the best racing game on Saturn, praising its perfect arcade port quality.
This review section covers 4 games.
Chaos Control received mixed reviews. The lady users found it simple and repetitive, score 5, while high rollers appreciated its nostalgic style, score 3, and guest writers found it standard but accessible, score 5. Mahjong Era Kogyaru After School Edition was enjoyed for its strip mahjong theme by all groups, with lady users giving a 6, high rollers a 3, and guest writers a 5. RoboPit was praised for its robot creation and customization. Lady users gave a 7, high rollers a 6, and guest writers a 6. The section concludes with a general discussion about robot battles, emphasizing strategic robot building for success. 4 games are reviewed. Hisatsu Pachinko Collection, scores 4 to 6, is a pachinko simulator with mixed reviews. Guardian Heroes, scores 8 across the board, is a well-received side-scrolling action game praised for its action, controls, characters, and RPG elements. The Horde, scores 6 to 7, blends real-time action and strategy with a focus on village building and defense, though some find it repetitive. Taasu Yuke Laugh, scores 7, is a puzzle game with action elements, praised for its unique gameplay, but with some concerns about its balance and presentation. SEGA Saturn Magazine reviews several games. World Fishing earns a 7, praised for beginner friendliness, graphics, and exciting gameplay. High Rollers, another fishing game, receives a 7 for its detailed fishing simulation, deemed a must-play. Hard-Boiled Adventure also gets a 7 for its realism and ease of play. Siberia, a sci-fi thriller, is given a 6, with criticism for its difficulty and repetitive gameplay. Death Mask, a horror adventure, is a 7, emphasizing learning through repetition. Finally, a digital level game gets a 5. The review criticizes its slow pace and unforgiving nature. This page features reviews for several upcoming games. First up is Duran, a puzzle game that's described as a falling object type, and seems pretty good. Reviewers liked the simple rules and chain combos, finding it enjoyable. However, some felt it lacked depth and could become repetitive, with one reviewer mentioning it felt like they were just going through the motions. It received mixed scores, averaging around a 6 or 7. Next is Pro Mahjong Kiwami S, a mahjong game aimed at serious players. Reviewers praised its hardcore and realistic gameplay, including analysis and quiz modes. It seems like a great title for mahjong enthusiasts, with one reviewer giving it a very high score of 9, saying it's the kind of game they've been waiting for. However, it might be too intense for casual players just looking for a quick game. Moving on to new software checks. Street Fighter Zero, known internationally as Street Fighter Alpha, is looking fantastic with a 95% completion rate. It's touted as an arcade-perfect port, with added training and original drama modes, and a new Zism system. Finally, Tenchi Muyo Geki Gekijin Onsen Yukemori no Tabi, which is Tenchi Muyo. Magical Game Funhouse for international audiences is also previewed with a 90% completion rate. This one is an adventure game featuring an original story and beautiful anime scenes with branching storylines and multiple endings. This page features an interview with Azuma, who is known for his music on the Panzer Dragoon series. He talks about creating a new album called Dram Remixes, which focuses on arcade game music. Azuma explains that after working on Panzer Dragoon, he became more involved in creating game music and enjoys the unique aspects of music for games. He mentions that he appreciates the challenge of creating music that complements gameplay and evokes different emotions. The interview touches on how he approached the Dram Remix album, aiming to bring out the best aspects of the original music while adding his own style. He talks about trying to capture the essence of games like Power Drift, Fantasy Zone, and Galaxy Force in his remixes. The interviewer, Ito, mentions that Azuma's music for Power Drift was particularly memorable, and that he feels the new remixes are energetic and fitting for games, even having a somewhat metallic sound. Azuma also shares his struggles with remixing Fantasy Zone, finding the club-style approach challenging. He concludes by mentioning Galaxy Force as another game he worked on. The page also highlights the Dram Remixes album as a collection of remixed arcade game music from games like Sonic R and Daytona USA, featuring 10 tracks in total. It mentions that the booklet included with the album contains special talks between Sega Sound staff and Azuma. In this interview, Ito and Azuma discussed the DRAM remix album. Ito praises Azuma's remixing approach, particularly his pursuit of new ideas for the album. Azuma highlights Super Hangin' and Alien Storm as tracks with great flow, humorously mentioning Power Drift. Azuma encourages listeners to enjoy the remixes and offers a playful challenge to those who dislike the album to express their boredom. He hopes the remixes enhance the game experience.
The page also profiles Itoff, a freelance composer with experience at Sega, now involved in the DRAM project. The track list for the DRAM remix album is provided. Finally, the page advertises the Sega Arcade Selection DRAM remix album for the Sega Saturn, including its price, distributor, VAP, and a prize campaign deadline. This magazine page reveals secret techniques for Sega Saturn games. 2 codes are provided for X-Men, Children of the Atom. A 32-bit code to play as Akuma, Gookie, involves specific button and directional inputs, and a 64-bit code allows you to fight Juggernaut after using Akuma in versus mode. A 32-bit code for Galaxy Fight enables you to use boss characters by holding L, R, and Y on both controllers during character selection. Another 32-bit code for Super Real Mahjong Graffiti PIV lets you choose your opponent during the demo by pressing Y and Z, and play against multiple opponents by holding L and X while pressing Start. The page concludes with a call for submissions of secret techniques for Sega hardware, offering prizes for complex discoveries, and provides contact information. This page is all about reader presents from Sega Saturn Magazine. They are giving away some cool stuff to lucky readers who answer their questionnaire. First up, a whopping 20 people can win any Sega Saturn game they want, as long as it was released by January 25, 96. Pretty generous. For the King of Fighters fans, 3 readers can grab a King of Fighters 95 calendar. Apparently, it's rare and quite sought after. They even mention the cool ladies on it. Shin Megami Tensei fans are in for a treat too, with 3 posters up for grabs, featuring the cool, stylish vibe of the game. Then there's King of the Spirits software, also for 3 winners, which sounds like another cool prize. Music lovers can try for one of the 3 Puzzle Bobbles music cruds, boasting 4 types of game music perfect for listening to. They also have a quirky prize, 6 special message clips, apparently handy for the office, and shaped like the OK hand sign. Finally, for strategy buffs, 3 copies of iShogi software are available. To enter, you need to fill out the questionnaire and send it in by January 25th. Winners will be announced in the February 22nd issue. It also mentions the next issue of Sega Saturn Magazine, releasing on January 26th, will be packed with 96's new titles. Seems like a lot to look forward to in the next issue. This page spotlights Virtua Racing for the Sega Saturn. It looks like an advertisement using a heartwarming family moment. A dad is giving Virtua Racing to his son, Manabu, who is super happy because it's got a 2-player mode and they can play together. The ad highlights that the game is for 12 players, it's a racing title, supports memory backup, and works with racing controllers. The father also tells Manabu he can enjoy playing because it was a promised gift, but schoolwork is still important. To encourage him, the dad promises a toy if Manabu gets 100 points in his studies, which links to the big 100 number featured, probably suggesting both academic success and the game's quality or appeal. This page continues the advertisement for Virtua Racing. It seems to follow on from the previous heartwarming family scenes. The dad is congratulating his son Manabu for doing well, and mentions there's the usual telephone card campaign happening. He encourages Manabu to send in a postcard to get a phone card. The page also includes a little synopsis or story around the advertisement. It tells of Manabu, a 7-year-old boy in Tokyo, who remembered his promise with his 44-year-old father, Shizuo, that if he got 100 points on his test, he would get Virtua Racing for the Sega Saturn. His older sister, Ryoko, who is 14, is also excited and tells Manabu how amazing it is that he achieved this. It turns out Manabu did get 100 points, and it was even in maths, which he finds difficult. So December 22nd is described as Manabu's Day of Destiny visually. We see the Virtua Racing game case and a mug with the Virtua Racing logo, alongside a pencil. The words release or on sale are prominently displayed in red at the top, and at the bottom it clearly states Sega Saturn and Virtua Racing.
This page is all about Sega Rally Championship on the Sega Saturn. It's heavily promoting the game with the tagline, "Jump, Slide, Attack." Sega Rally Saturn Round Opening. The page features dynamic images of rally cars in action, including a Toyota Celica with Castrol sponsorship and a Lancia Delta with Martini Racing livery, which are iconic cars from the game. You can see in-game screenshots showcasing the classic Sega Rally gameplay, and right at the bottom, there's a Sega Saturn console and controller, emphasizing the platform. The text highlights that this is the Sega Rally Championship game, and it was scheduled for release on December 29th for 5,800 yen. It also mentions Drive, likely indicating the driving genre.
The magazine issue is also noted as SEGA Saturn Magazine, January 12, 26th issue, Volume 1. It looks like a full page dedicated to hyping up the release of Sega Rally for the Saturn.